BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: workers at Bedford Hospital raise concerns about untrained staff. A drone used for smuggling is found at Bedford Prison, and a dispute over Christmas lights in Dunstable.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The BBC's learned that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. NHS workers from 10 hospitals, including Bedford, have voiced their concerns. Catherine Boyle reports.
NHS staff say healthcare assistants are being left to insert needles, dress wounds and take blood without being properly trained. The Royal College of Nursing says patients are being put in danger and blames a woeful lack of trained nurses. Bedford Hospital says assistants carry out an important role and they support them to carry out those roles and are very proud of the work they do.
A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by staff at Bedford Prison. It's believed it was being used to smuggle things into the jail. Shopkeeper Farita Radogan says people saw a drone near the prison.
There was two of them, and I think one of them was controlling the monitor and the other one was controlling the drone itself. And they put it on the ground, took off. It went quite high, quite rapidly. I think it stayed up there for a little bit, and then they brought it back down again. And at that point, I had to go back into my shop because I had customers come in.
A senior Conservative source says its election candidate for Dudley North will be sacked within a matter of days. Afzal Amin denies plotting to persuade the English Defence League to announce a march and then scrap it, allowing him to take the credit for diffusing tensions. The Conservative MP for Mid Bedfordshire, Nadine Dorris, says he should resign.
I think he should go. But it's very difficult to believe what you read in the newspapers because, as we know, newspapers will present not all necessarily the whole story or the whole context. But I think from what I've read, what little I've read, it's all pretty damning stuff.
A former judge who led the inquiry into the Strangeways prison riot of 25 years ago says jails are as bad now as they were then. Lord Wolfe says there needs to be a new review of the penal system.
The main political parties want to show the public they're tough on crime because they believe that's what the public want. I think the public want to feel safer. What is needed is somebody to do another review of the prisons and try and take the prison situation out of politics.
A family in Dunstable have received an abusive letter because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and a heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. He doesn't know who wrote the hand-delivered note, which accuses them of making the community look a disgrace. In sport, Novak Djokovic has defeated Roger Federer to successfully defend his title in Indian Wells. And the weather this morning will be frosty at first, turning cloudy with a chance of rain by this evening. Top temperatures around 11 degrees Celsius. That's 52 degrees Fahrenheit. You can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Thanks, Lee. Great to hear Catherine Boyle's voice in that bulletin. You're going to hear it now.
If you're lucky.
And we weren't. Morning team, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Oh look, it's Betsy.
Hi.
Just going to keep them on a short leash today. Just, you're right. Those listeners who've been emailing me in your droves, I give those girls too much leeway.
You give us leeway.
Correct.
Did you just say that with your mouth and your brain?
Yes,
together?
I did.
Have a little think.
You love the leeway. Well, you're not getting it today. Short leash, choke chain, that also delivers a non-lethal electric shock.
Sounds like my weekend.
Hang on a minute, are we dogs in this scenario?
Metaphorically and literally.
Wow.
Kelly did a funny.
Always.
Would you like to do it again?
What bit? What one? I'm just...
Okay. Short leash, choke chain that delivers a non-lethal electric shock.
Sounds like my weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, their microphones are off. Should really open the computer program that tells me what's on the show today, shouldn't I? That would be a bonus. Hang on. Just warming up. It's a Monday morning warm-up. blimey, it won't open. Hang on, don't panic. Hang on. Here it comes. Nearly there. Let's have a little look on the show today. Aha! Whistleblowers. Anonymous notes. Anonymous. And spiritual safe zones. That sounds like a show. How are we doing with that song?
It's coming.
Eee.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Short leash.
Are you calling
Choke
in?
chain. Short leash.
What?
Non-lethal electric shock. Boyle, short leash. Stay.
I don't respect your leash.
Stay.
No,
Stay.
I'm not staying.
Stay.
I'm not staying.
Play dead.
No.
By the way, this song lists loads of bands. It's a theme tune to a concert. See if you can spot the massive, factually incorrect song lyric. It's about the Rolling Stones.
Hey, everybody, see 'em arriving, the greatest stars you'll ever see. Some are flying and some are driving from Liverpool to Tennessee. Chuck Berry's checking in from St. Louis. He's gonna see Maybelline in Memphis too. The representative from New York City is Leslie Gore. Now she sure looks pretty. Here they come from all over the world. Here they come from all over the world. You know the guitar's grooving, so keep it moving. And come on, come on, come on. They're coming from all over the world. Can't you just hear everybody singing the biggest sound you've ever heard? A clapping and a stomping while the guitar's screaming. You better go spread the word. Don't forget the Motor City sounds of the day. The Baby Lovin' Supremes and Marvin Gaye. The King of the Blues, soulful James Brown. The Beach Boys singing now. I get around, you'll get around. Woo! I get around. Here they come from all over the world. Here they come from all over the world. You know the guitar's grooving, so keep it on moving. And come on, come on, come on. They're coming from all over the world.
Chinsling.
It's like killing a bee with a bazooka.
Sorry, I thought I was going to vomit for a second.
Those bad-looking guys with the moppy long hair. The Rolling Stones from Liverpool have gotta be there. Jerry and the Pacemakers, Billy J too. They're all gonna be here to sing for you. Here they come from all over the world. Here they come from all over the world. You know the guitar's grooving, so keep it all moving. And come on, come on, come on. From all over the world. From all over the world. From all over the world.
Morning, the Rolling Stones from Liverpool? You're kidding me, guys. Now, the BBC has learned that medical... you need to use that microphone, Sophie, that's why it was there, because the other one don't work. The BBC has learned that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. As part of a special investigation, NHS workers from 10 hospitals in the region have contacted the BBC voicing their concerns. They say staff are being left to insert needles, dress wounds and take blood without being properly trained. Well, our health reporter, Sophie Soleri, has got the details. Sophie, first of all, what is a healthcare assistant?
OK, so Ian, if you're in hospital, you will probably have had your care provided to you by a healthcare assistant, otherwise known as a HCA. Now, a healthcare assistant is part of the nursing staff, but they're not medically trained. Their role is just to make you comfortable, so to feed you, help you dress, go to the toilet, keep an eye on you by taking observations like checking your blood pressure, temperature, and making sure you're drinking enough water, that kind of thing. They make up the bulk of the frontline care in our hospitals. They're growing in number. Their starting salary is around $14,000 a year. And in the most western part of the eastern region, we have around 3,800 healthcare assistants, with over 1,400 of these working in our hospitals in Herts and Bucks. So the most can be found in the L&D, which have nearly 450, followed by Milton Keynes, who have seen quite a sharp increase, actually. 5 years ago, they only had 124. Now they have over 400, and they're rising.
So what kind of things have you been told by the people who've approached you then?
Over the course of my 2-month investigation, over 30 healthcare assistants have approached me. They've told me that they're doing jobs that are far beyond their training. Here's some of their comments, voiced by actors.
On a day-to-day basis, it's frightening what happens on the ward. I've known medication to be given to the wrong people. They're switching on machines that they shouldn't. It's the hundreds of near misses that scares me.
HCAs are running the clinics. If something goes wrong, we have to run to get a nurse.
I know people are doing procedures they aren't trained to, like assessments and fitting cannulas. There's supposed to be HCAs and a staff nurse on board all the time, but there isn't. We face danger every day, and it's 50-50 if the HCAs are trained up to standard or not.
And I am always asked to work above my duty, like lifting patients without lifting training. We had a patient who should have been lifted by 6 people, being rolled only by me and one other member of staff. And it's my job, but it's an absolute joke.
And it's not unusual that these healthcare assistants want to protect their identity. Of those that I spoke to, none of them wanted to be identified for fear of losing their jobs. And indeed, on a number of occasions, many agreed to speak with me and meet me, but then they just pull out at the last minute. They told me this was because of inherent culture of bullying from above, which they faced every single day.
Surely in the NHS, though, there must be clear guidelines about what these healthcare assistants should and shouldn't be able to do.
No, Ian, there isn't. In fact, it's a grey area because their roles are decided from hospital to hospital. So aside from making patients comfortable, anything like taking blood, fitting cannulas or using needles need specialist training. But that's decided by each of their workplaces. And in some cases, they're doing jobs that are far beyond that should only really be carried out by a nurse or even a doctor, like assessing or giving medication. And many times it's without supervision.
The health unions, what are they saying about this?
They're saying that the evidence that we found, Eunice in particular has said the evidence we found is just the tip of the iceberg. They say that pressures on the health system means that things like this will happen more and more often in the future. Karen Webb is the Eastern Regional Director at the Royal College of Nursing, and she blames the problem on a vast shortage of trained nurses.
At the moment we have a piecemeal situation where in some areas there are enough nurses who are able to support healthcare assistants. In other areas there is a woeful lack of qualified nurses. That's placing healthcare assistants in a dangerous situation. It's also putting patients in danger.
Now both Unison and the RCN are calling for healthcare assistants to be regulated and properly registered.
What does the government say about this?
So they've given us a statement today. They say healthcare assistants should get proper training and be valued for the vital work that they do. The care certificate, which comes into April, will mean providing clear evidence to employers and patients that the HCAs have been trained to a specific set of standards, and it's never acceptable for unqualified staff to be asked to undertake any tasks for which they're not trained or supervised. But the overall message from government is clear. The NHS need many more healthcare assistants to keep up with patient demands. This is a point which the Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt made to me when I put my findings to him recently.
Well, no one should do anything without the right training, but I think it's also true to say that a number of healthcare assistants are now getting the training they need to do more complex tasks, and they have a very, very important role inside the NHS, as do nurses, as do doctors. And I think the big picture is we need more of them.
Meanwhile, I'd like to hear from you. If you've been a patient in your local hospital recently, or indeed have you worked in one, and you'd like to tell me your experience, please get in touch with your local radio station or head to the Look East Facebook page. Thank you.
Sophie, excellent stuff. Thank you very much.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
And come. I'm just letting you have a little bit of free play. You've got 55 seconds of free play. So, come.
Is he talking to you? I'm not really sure. He seems to be looking this way. But he's got those eyes that you're not really sure if he is looking or not.
I think he's looking at you.
Smiling. Very creepily. Don't really know.
Smells funny today, doesn't he?
It always. Hair's a bit weird as well.
I'm going to cut the free play short. Sit.
Who are you talking to?
Short leash, Catherine. Short leash.
Wow.
Short leash. Short jerk on the choke chain, and I'm not being rude about you. I'm actually giving you a short jerk on the choke chain.
Do you know that I could take him off air for a minute?
Non-lethal electric shock.
Yeah.
Non-lethal electric shock. Although I'm hovering over lethal.
Go on then.
Do it.
I might.
Go on. Do it.
I think this is working, don't you?
No.
Huh? Mama Kath?
So are you talking to me?
Do you want me to give you a bone?
I'll take it.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Having a look at the speed sensors in Bricketwood on the North Orbital Road, that's beginning to look quite busy around the M25 junction 21A roundabout, and in Bishop Stortford on Dunmow Road, that's been closed in both directions between London Road and Stortford Hall Park because of roadworks, so expect delays there. On the motorways, it's all moving fine through the roadworks on the A1M between the M25 and Swellham Green, and on the M1 though, a bit further afield, there's a lane closed northbound between junction 16 for Daventry and 17 for Coventry because of an accident. On the trains, the mainline station at Denham Golf Club is closed because of engineering works, but there's a replacement bus between Gerrards Cross and Denham Golf Club. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 6:16, it's Monday the 23rd of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Oh man, I'm 42 soon. Sorry, that's not one of the headlines, it's just dawned on me. I just did the time math. Staff at Bedford Hospital have raised concerns about unqualified staff carrying out medical procedures. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by staff at Bedford Prison. And a man from Dunstable who's been too ill to take down his Christmas lights has received an abusive letter from a neighbour. 08459, and I'll give the rest of the number out shortly.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Every day it's not just about great music and great conversation.
I'll get a bit technical here.
It's about local experts helping you across beds, hearts and bucks.
So what we're talking about then is capital gains tax potentially on the portion of the property that they directly own.
On finance, relationships.
But look at the way that you have contributed to this situation.
Health.
When you have a cough which can seem quite innocuous in this way but just irritating, asthma is something that we would think of.
Your pets.
Particularly if your dog is a border collie cross, it will be epilepsy.
And even law.
You still cannot say, Judge, you have to stick to this, but the judge's approach now is going to be, well, why shouldn't we?
Local advice for local people.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Dealey.
Hey, good morning, boss. How are you today?
I'm fine this morning. Did you have a nice weekend, first of all? Let's pretend we're interested. Did you have a nice weekend? Huh?
Yeah, very nice, thank you.
Okay,
very
great.
Good.
What did you get up to in no more than 5 words?
Rest.
No.
Drink. Play.
Yep.
Eat.
Yep.
Towie.
Okay. Are you enjoying the new...
Sounds rubbish.
Are you enjoying the new management technique I've got on with the girls?
What's the new technique?
Short leash.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. It's great. It's really good.
Choke chain.
Yeah, carry on. Anything else you got?
Not really working.
Electric shock, non-lethal, but getting stronger.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, that's fun.
I'm coming in there in
good.
10 minutes. You are dead meat.
Choke chain.
No.
Yank.
No.
I'm yanking you.
I'm going to bite your flipping hand off.
Totally beat you up.
She's
I'd
not.
love to watch it.
Sit.
I already am.
Heel.
Got those.
It's good, isn't it, Josh? You see, it's just they've had a little bit too much leeway.
You see, the thing is that the BBC these
and now
days,
I'm having the leeway.
It's gone all PC these days. You are getting straight in there. You are dealing with this in the way that men deal with things.
It is
with all mouth and actually no
trousers.
whatsoever.
Yeah, that's the way I like to roll. It's hot in here. I've just thought of an idea. If I was still talking to TV people like 10 years ago, I should have pitched a show called The Leeway.
Yep.
And it'll be this. It's like Super Nanny and Dog Borstal, but for people. For grown-ups. It tells you how to deal with...
Borstal.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Sorry?
Nothing.
It would be for management of grown-ups who've just got an attitude. Like dogs or kids, but grown-ups.
That's a good pitch.
Sorry? It's called The Leeway. I don't mind if it's on BBC4. I mean, no one watches, but I think they still pay quite good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm going to have my own rival television programme called Boyle's Law.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's like Judge Judy, but less...
Erotic?
No, Judge Judy's a bit soft, I think, compared to me.
Wow, go on then. OK, so...
Do I look like an idiot?
Yes. So I'm going to loosen your chain a bit.
No.
I'm going to have a television show called Bets' Bets.
What happens in that?
I look at all the best bets that people have bet on.
Dealey, what's your TV show going to
and
be?
all the money that they've got.
It's just called Taking It to the Streets, where I meet the people.
No, you've not got the idea. You've got to put your name in it.
My name in it, J-Dog Streets.
It doesn't work.
Your actual name?
It's got to sound like something else.
It's got to have your surname in it.
Deal or no dealy? Where it's you and a load of impersonators.
Dealer's Wheel. Dealey's Wheels. You go around looking at wheels from history.
Yeah.
The history of the wheel.
The real dealy.
The real Dealy, yeah.
Dealy Feely.
Yeah.
Bit naughty for the dads.
The late night version, Dealy Feely. Yeah.
That can go on ITV4, bit blue. Men and Motors, Granada Men and Motors is proud to present Feely Dealy, where you just touch up women in bikinis
on the street or on the beach.
The street is not part of this programme.
No?
No.
But the streets are fun.
Dealy's Wheelies, where you get bikes from the 70s and 80s and you pop wheelies on them.
No,
Choppers, grifters, BMXs.
Yeah, jumping on your trick nuts.
I like Dealy's Feelies, but he goes up to someone and touches them with a body part and they have to guess what he's touching them with.
Dealy's Tea Leaves, in which he predicts the future of minor celebrities by reading their tea leaves.
That is great.
Thing is...
Dealy's Peelies, in which he peels back things. Primarily bananas.
Oranges.
I can't think of any other things you might peel back.
Dealy's Kneelies. He just walks around on his knees all day.
We'll speak to you after this, Just.
OK.
You sound miffed, Just. What's your beef?
No beef. I just like to have my own ideas, you know?
Well, unfortunately, you don't have a televisual mind, mate. I've worked in TV.
All right, mate. I get the picture.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Spend the night together, yeah?
What?
Don't you worry about what's on your mind, oh man. I'm in no hurry, I can take my time, oh man. I'm going red and my tongue's getting tired. Tongue's getting tired. I'm on my head, my mouth's getting dry. Better cha-cha-cha, oh man. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever. Let's spend the night together now. I feel so strong that I can't disguise, oh man. Let's spend the night together, but I just can't apologize, oh no. Let's spend the night together. Don't hang me up and let me down. Don't let me down. We could have fun just going around and round and round and oh my mind. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever. Let's spend the night together. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever. You know I'm smiling, baby. You need some guidance, baby. I've just decided, baby, now I need you more than ever. Let's spend the night together. Let's spend the night together now. Oh, this doesn't happen to me every day, oh man. Let's spend the night together.
Now, a family in Dunstable have received a letter calling them the word we're officially allowed to use now, so boy oh boy, the BBC is milking it, pikeys, because they still have their Christmas lights up. Well, Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and a heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. He doesn't know who wrote the hand-delivered note, which accused them of making the community look a disgrace. Well, Justin, you've been out to meet Kevin and his daughter Gina.
I have.
You've seen the lights?
Yep.
Are they disgraceful?
they're not disgraceful. They just look a bit weird. Now, I was there on Friday, bright sunshine. This is Manor Park in Dunstable, and you've got these Christmas lights all over the house. Not a disgrace, but just slightly odd, as you might appreciate.
Not many people don't like Christmas lights up. I don't like them up at Christmas, but you know, we're in March now. We're approaching April. It's not appropriate, is it?
It does look a bit strange. I have been talking to the family. You'll hear from Michelle in a second, Kevin's wife. But up first, I spoke to Gina, and she told me why the lights are still up.
Well, my dad had several strokes, and also just recently he had a heart attack. It's very minor, so obviously he's still able to potter around and things like that. But for him to be able to go up on a ladder and to risk that just for some lights, it really isn't worth it. But he wants to keep them up so that my little girl and their autistic son can still see them at Christmas when it comes round.
So he's got more important things on his mind. That's why they're still there. It's not a case of just being lazy. Nothing like that at all.
No, not at all. It's just the fact that he's thinking about his health, and he's thinking about his grandchild and his son, and how much they love him at Christmas. And if they don't see him up this year, they might be very disappointed, and he doesn't want to see it out on their faces. He wants to see happiness.
So they're going to be staying there all year round then?
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, because he's too unwell to take them down and then put them back up again at Christmas time.
Yeah, he just doesn't think it's worth the risk of his health, and he doesn't want to end up in hospital again and to not be able to see his granddaughter. And it's just basically, it's nice to just leave him up and to not risk his health, and they still get to see him at Christmas when he does turn them on.
And do you have any idea who might be writing letters like this to your mum and dad?
I don't know. I am assuming it is someone around the street, because obviously it is a one-way circuit, so they have to literally just drive round. So they must live quite nearby to have to look at them every day. My opinion is if they're too busy looking at these, and then they're not paying attention to the road, and they're causing risk to their children in the back of the car, aren't they? Really?
Well, another reason to take the lights down then if they're at risk. What's interesting, Justin, is I've kind of deliberately. Normally, I have a good thorough read of the stories, and so I know what I'm talking about. Today, I've deliberately not about this because I wanted to kind of come at it as a listener would.
Yep.
And what I'm hearing, well, he just wants to leave the lights up, doesn't he, for the whole year?
Yep, you're going to be talking to him later on. Some of the neighbours, by the way, you'll hear from some of the neighbours later. They seem to think that he is well enough to take them down.
Why? I was wondering why the young lady we just heard from there, Jean, his daughter... Why couldn't she take them down?
Because her dad does that thing. Now, psychology-wise, I've got a clip coming up here of Kevin's wife, and this is really, really interesting. I think you are going to pick up on something which is said here. I asked her again, are the lights staying up? Take a listen.
They are staying up. I'm not going to take them down, and nor is my husband. And nobody else ain't going to take them down. In fact, we're going to put some more up. So
is that what you're going to do?
Yep, we're going to put more up.
What, just to annoy the person who sent this letter?
Exactly, to annoy the person that sent the letter.
OK, what would you say to that person if they're listening to this right now? And you know there's every chance they could be listening to this right now. We don't know who they are, OK? We think it's somebody down this road. Well, you certainly do. But you can't quite work out who. If that person is listening, what's your message to them who thinks they've got the right to send you a letter calling you a pikey?
Well, I think, to me, I feel it's a lot of jealousy. For them to say that it's making their children scream as it goes past, I don't know what they're teaching their children about Christmas. There's other things going on in this world, and they need to concentrate on the real bad stuff, not silly lights that's, they're not hurting anyone. But they should have, they should come and face us, really, and tell us their opinion face to face, not do it in a letter. And then I can tell her what I think.
OK, so let's just recap the story.
Yep.
The gentleman is... do we know when he had this stroke and this heart attack?
The heart attack was recent. It was just a few weeks ago, so this year. So they're saying to us, they're saying originally that the father, Kevin, is too unwell. Again, he'll be live on your show later. Too unwell to take the lights down.
But,
however, talking to the wife there, they're going to put more lights up.
Who's going to
work that one out?
Who's going to put those lights up?
The family.
I mean,
Yes, you see, there is a twist here.
Yeah.
There is a twist, and that was the first thing Lee Agnew, who was reading the news this morning, heard that earlier, and that was the first thing that he picked up on. Hang on, they're too unwell to take them down, so they're going to leave them up. However, they're now going to put more up to annoy the person who sent this letter.
He's a top journalist. That's why he got that straight away.
Yeah, straight in.
Daily, we'll speak to you just before 7.
Take care, boss.
Thank you, mate. It's interesting, that one, isn't it? It's interesting. I knew this one would be interesting. That's why I didn't read the notes on it last night. I saw the headline and thought, right,
Good for you, not reading your research.
No, I'm going to come to... No, I do. I'm going to come to this as a listener would. I want to hear it as it unfolds, and I'm glad because it's fascinating. He had the heart attack recently, in the last few weeks. So let's be generous and say at the end of February, right? Well, that means they still had 2 months to take those lights down. There was never any intention to take those lights down.
Now he's leaving it up for the kiddies.
And now he's going to put more lights up. We'll speak to Kevin. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's busy on the A1 Barnet bypass, southbound between Boreham Wood and the Stirling Corner. And having a look on the speed sensors, it's already looking like there are queues on the A406 North Circular Road between the East End Road and the A1 Great North Way at Henley's Corner. On the motorways, the A1M's moving fine through the roadworks between junction 1 for the M25 and 2 for Welham Green. And looking at the rest of the M25, there's no reports of any delays showing up there at the moment or any slow parts on the speed sensors. On the train departure boards, everything at the moment looks like it's running to time. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines. The BBC has learned that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. NHS workers from 10 hospitals, including Bedford, have voiced their concerns about the role of healthcare assistants. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by staff at Bedford Prison. It's believed it was being used to smuggle things into the jail. And a family in Dunstable have received an abusive letter because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and a heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. The weather this morning will be frosty at first, turning cloudy, with the chance of rain by this evening. Top temperatures around 11 degrees Celsius. That's 52 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Stevenage manager Graham Wesley says an incident involving his skipper Ronnie Henry and Dagenham's Joss Labadie on Saturday is now a police matter. Labadie's been accused of biting Henry during the Daggers' win over the Borough in League Two.
You don't go on a football pitch expecting to lose your finger, and Ronnie was horrified by what had gone on. It's a football match, and he's nearly lost his finger. That's, I think, what led to the scene at the end when there was clearly some nastiness going on.
Watford lost top spot in the Championship as they were beaten 1-0 by Ipswich. Hornets fans will be waiting for news on defender Joel Ekstrand, who was stretchered off with a leg injury in the first half. MK Dons are now 4 points from automatic promotion position in League One after their win against Notts County. Chelsea have gone 6 points clear at the top of the Premiership table after a 3-2 win at Hull City. But the Chelsea manager, Jose Mourinho, believes there's still plenty to play for.
Mathematically, everything is wide open. But the good thing for us is that we have just to think about us. I believe that their opponents were watching this game, were worried with the result of this game. We are not when they play. When they play, and we don't carry the result because we just focus on ourselves.
And in tennis, Novak Djokovic has defeated Roger Federer in the final at Indian Wells to take his 50th career title.
A second match point for Djokovic on the Federer serve. Down the centre he goes. Good return from Djokovic. Big forehand is hooked wide by Federer. And Novak Djokovic, arms aloft, has retained his Indian Wells title.
And that's BBC Three Counties News and Sport with more at 7 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
And sit.
What?
You have handed me a piece of paper.
Yes.
It's written in capitals, which
Yes.
would imply the person who wrote it is shouting.
Livid.
It's a text.
Yeah.
It's from Anne.
It's a vexed text.
You read it because you
You are All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Iain,
Iain, you're disgusting, treating women like dogs. This is so sexist. I don't know how the BBC let you get away with it. I'm turning you off from Anne in Luton.
Well, Anne is still listening.
Morning, Anne.
And Anne, just sit. Calm down. Let me give you a stroke behind the ears. A little stroke behind the ears. It's not. It's actually okay. It's actually a management technique from California in America, where they know how to do stuff. I'm not treating the girls literally like dogs. I'm not giving them nibbles. I'm not giving them scraps off the table. I'm just instilling the respect and discipline that is lacking, and I'm just making sure that they see me as the alpha, and they are the beta. And speak. No, not that one. Let's try this one. And speak. See, she's getting it. Were you being rude then? She's getting it, Catherine. I don't know why you're so resistant. You need to go and sniff her bottom.
Again. He's right about that, though, Kath.
Don't do it now, but you need to give Kelly's bottom a good sniffing.
If the boss is listening, whenever you want, back to news whenever you want.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, you're crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Well, they said you was high class. Well, that was just a lie. Yeah, they said you was high class. Well, that was just a lie.
I'm just, you know how you can sometimes prompt people to say things without telling them what to say. I've just sent a picture to a friend of mine, and I'm sure he will text back immediately with the exact phrase I'm thinking in my head.
He's got kind of catchphrases, hasn't he?
He's got catchphrases, that lad. Now, the papers. There's lots of little bits and pieces. Nothing kind of major.
Yeah.
Pocket money. Your girls, what are they, 6 and 3, nearly 4?
6 and 3,
6 and 3. They don't get pocket money.
Well, no, I tantalised them with the idea, but unfortunately they didn't have the wherewithal to obtain it.
Really?
Yeah, I said if they made their beds every morning and behaved, then on a Friday they would get some pocket money.
How much were you thinking of giving them, Northern Man?
About $2.50.
Yeah.
Well, listen, they didn't even manage a week, and they forgot about it, so I've saved my money.
The average weekly pocket money for kids, the average is £14.
What for?
£14. Now listen, you can't buy a Mars bar for 50p, and a comics are like £4.50 or something.
Crazy.
They've got comics. Why do you put toys on and free gifts on? A, the gifts aren't free, we're paying for them every single week.
But you know the one that doesn't and has got something to read in it? The Beano still.
Wow, you've gone all serious then.
Yeah, no, that's the only one we buy.
All the others, they've all got free gifts. No. A free gift you got like once every 3 months or something. Coming next week, a paper snapper.
Yeah, they'd be rubbish like that. There'd be a paper snapper or a Highland toffee bar.
Yeah.
Or, popping candy.
But now, every week, you get utter rubbish. The average weekly pocket money for kids is £14. Half of them don't save any money. Well, they're kids.
I just spent it all on pencils.
Research among thousands of youngsters from 8 to 18 found that 1 in 8 blew it. What? Children in the North East spent the most and saved the least. The youngsters found kids in London received the most pocket money at more than £17 a week. The smaller weekly amount was just under 11 quid in the East Midlands. 11 quid!
What's with the odd numbers, by the way? Surely you slip them a tenner or a fiver, don't you?
No, you don't slip them. You don't know. You slip them £2.50.
£2.50, I think, is adequate.
What are they going to do then? Are they going to go and buy a car or something? 11 quid, I think, is outrageous. All right, my boys are flipping at 5 and 3. They don't get pocket money. Sometimes, if they do a job and they've got their eye on something, we might give them a few pennies to put in their piggy bank, like a quid or something. But they don't get pocket money. It's a lazy phone-in, but do you know what? I'm not averse to lazy phone-ins every now and then. How much pocket money do your kids get? Because £11 seems like a lot to me. 08459 455 555.
You know that panther that doesn't exist in Bedfordshire?
The panther that's on the prowl, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be a boar.
Well, some people might think so, but I'm finding it thoroughly interesting. Let's just hear Kelly's sycophantic laugh. Thank you.
Savage wild boar are hunting and eating newborn lambs in packs, experts said.
Where's packs? Is that in Australia?
I think they go to Waitrose and get like a pack.
Yay!
5 lambs were ripped apart, raising fears boar now have a taste for fresh meat.
Hang on a minute. Do that again.
What, the whole thing?
Yep.
5 lambs were ripped apart, raising fears boars now have a taste for fresh meat. Vet Claire Harvey watched 6 of the swine devour a lamb in the Forest of Dean. Why did she not step in? They're wild boar. The area is home to 800 boar, which usually feed on vegetation and carrion. She said, "It was brutal. There are serious implications for animal health." Yes, having your head ripped off will be a serious implication. Boar became extinct in England 300 years ago, but have been reintroduced. I hope you're happy.
They should reintroduce, to make life, because life is mundane and boring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we all get our thrills and our kicks from, I don't know, Legal Highs and Grand Theft Auto these days. They should reintroduce more wild animals into the country. When are they going to reintroduce the lynx? Or the lynx, the mink, I think, is in the countryside. It escaped.
We've already got minks. We're going to get lynx.
Let's get a sphinx. And see it get up to hijinks. Now...
That stinks.
We could also... Let's see if Kelly's got one.
Kelly?
Quickly, before we blinks. Thank you. Now, let's see if she's got one now.
What were you saying?
OK.
Wait for her to think.
Now...
Anyway, you know wild boar?
Wild boar! Wild boar!
My mate Helen reckoned one crashed through her patio doors, went on a rampage through the house, bled everywhere and then left.
Hey, well, do you know, of course, a wild boar burst into the luxury mansion of Simon Le Bon. And do you know what he said to Yasmin? Wild boar!
Anyway, you were saying about lynx and minks and that.
We should just release more wild animals into the wild.
Tigers?
Tigers, lions, giraffes. Imagine some giraffes having laughs.
I love a giraffe.
It'd be great one. Imagine there's a giraffe in the woods. But there were so many giraffes, we just didn't care. Oh, there's a giraffe, yeah, so what? And they became tame, like foxes and a deer, and they would
the bins.
They would go through the bit. Oi! There's a bloody giraffe in the... Oi! I ran right up to it, clapping, and it just stayed there looking at me. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
They've gone feral.
No.
When giraffes attack, they do attack as well. Have you seen?
Yeah, but you can see their neck bending down, so you've got time to run away. But you've got to run a distance because they can reach.
It's like swing ball.
Speaking of swing balls, they're killer mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Killer mosquitoes, guys, are coming to this country. When are they coming? Let me find the page and I'll tell you. Oh, 2030. Oh, in that case, it's fine. Mosquitoes could it's only Malarian mosquitoes, not actual, they're going to eat your face off or anything. Mosquitoes could start spreading malaria across Britain in as little as 15 years' time. The thing is, I'm the one in my family that the mosquitoes go for. Me and my eldest. So now that he's come along, he takes some of the sting out of it for me. But they don't like the other two.
They don't like me at all. I mean, it's good. I'm glad they don't like me.
08459 455 555.
Hey.
Time for one more story. Go.
Something else they could re-release.
Yep.
8,000 years after it roamed the ice, the woolly mammoth may walk again.
No, this is messed up. This is science gone wrong.
Scientists at Harvard University,
Well, make sure you get that right, otherwise you're going to have to pay out £700.
Harvard University claim to have reproduced 14 of the animal's genes in the DNA of an elephant. The first step in the process they hope will eventually lead to the birth of a live mammoth.
No.
The procedure is the latest development in an international race between geneticists, bet they're tired, in the US, South Korea and Japan to bring the woolly mammoth back to life.
No.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 anti-clockwise, there are queues building up between junction 21A for St Albans and 19 for Watford. And in Boreham Wood, the A1 Barnet bypass is looking slow southbound between the Holiday Inn turnoff and the Stirling corner. In High Wycombe on the A40 Oxford Road, looking at speed sensors, it's moving fine at the moment, but the roadworks there in both directions at Oxford Street could cause delays later on this morning. And in Luton on the A505 Dunstable Road, there's water mains work going on at Shaftesbury Road, just off Dunstable Road, so there's some temporary traffic lights which also could cause some delays. On the train departure boards, there are no major delays at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes! 6:46, Monday, the 23rd of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Staff at Bedford Hospital have raised concerns about unqualified assistants carrying out medical procedures. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by officers at Bedford Prison. And a man from Dunstable who's been too ill to take down his Christmas lights has received an abusive letter from his neighbour. We're going to speak to him later on, and it's not quite as simple as that line would portray. He's going to put up more Christmas lights. You want to contribute?
I was just going to say there's an element of defiance has crept in, and it turns out he was going to keep them up anyway for the kids.
We'll speak to him in a bit. Let's get the weather. Here's Sarah.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. Actually, not too bad a day in prospect, I think, for the day today. We certainly have some sunshine around through the middle part of the day or this morning. But actually what happens is we've got a pretty chilly, frosty start this morning. And although we will see some sunshine at first, we've got some cloud to move towards us later. That cloud is actually courtesy of a weak weather front. So it will introduce some light and patchy rain as we go through this evening. But in the meantime, some sunshine and a top temperature at the best of it, 10 Celsius, 50 in Fahrenheit. Light and patchy rain through this evening, as I say. Clear by tomorrow morning. Behind it, though, the air is a bit colder. So tomorrow, a high of 7 Celsius, typically, and a bit more cloud around. The chance of a shower in the afternoon, but mostly we're dry. And then into Wednesday, lots of dry and bright weather, but we will continue with the threat of overnight frost, certainly tomorrow night into Wednesday with that colder air, and a high, despite lots of sunshine on Wednesday, of 7 or 8 Celsius. And then we've got some slightly milder air with us on Thursday and Friday, but the payoff is that we'll be wet and windy on Thursday.
As the general election gets closer, we want to know what you really think.
Sometimes it gets a bit boring, I think.
But we kind of feel like nothing changes.
Parliament really needs a good shake-up.
We're holding a number of debates across Beds, Herts and Bucks, focusing on the biggest issues.
The national health, I think that's a big concern at the moment.
Immigration, probably.
I think education more than anything.
If you'd like to take part and have your say, you can register your interest right now. Email 3cr@bbc.co.uk or call 08459 455 555.
I always do the vote because I think it's my right to vote.
Election 2015 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Here's a weird one. Heaven forfend anything like this should happen to anyone we know or love. Lee Rigby, of course, we all know he was brutally murdered in the street. Well, this is an odd tribute to him. Haulage giant Eddie Stobart has named a lorry after murdered soldier Lee Rigby. It's the only one in the firm's 45 years not to be called after a woman. I didn't know they had names. I didn't know you could name...
Yeah, you can be an Eddie spotter, can't you? And you can write down the names.
You can be a what, sorry?
Eddie spotter.
You used to be able to. They used to have to wear their ties by law, and if they weren't... Well, by Eddie Stobart law. And if they weren't wearing a tie, you could phone them up and grass them up.
Yeah.
We used to do that, me and my mates.
It's clever, though, isn't it? Because I don't give a monkeys about trucks, but I always feel a little thrill when I see an Eddie Stobart truck.
I've never noticed the names.
I quite like a Norbert Dontrasangler as well.
Oh, I'd say Norbert Dentrasangle.
Oh.
Or Clancy Dockwra.
No, I don't care about them.
The 15-ton Lee James Rigby was unveiled by Lee's trucker dad, Phil McClure.
Ah, right, OK.
Who's worked for Stobart for 7 years. Oh, OK. Very complicated family layout this gentleman had, wasn't it? It's revealed that the Fusilier Lee, 25, had hoped to become a driver there too. Phil said, to have my boy's name on a truck is something really special and such a fitting memorial. OK. I mean, yeah, sure, OK. It just seems odd to me, and I don't. Well, I do know why. It's a bloke's name on a truck.
Yeah. Yeah, but the fact his dad used to work for Stobart and he was obviously a truck kid. Then,
but I mean,
quite nice.
It's.
Listen, if I go, I won't be bothered if you don't call a truck after me.
You'd like a chip van named after you.
Chip van would be lovely.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, not kebab though. I don't really bother.
Do you know what? I nearly bought a kebab. I've not had a kebab for 26 years.
There's a reason. You stopped drinking, right?
Yeah.
But that's the reason.
I was a vegetarian for a long time, and I was peckish in Birmingham the other day, and I walked past a doner kebab shop, and I thought, ooh, do you know what? A kebab in Pitta with chili sauce, my friend? Yeah, of course, brother. And I didn't. But do you know what? I think I might do it next Friday.
I told you about that Spanish boyfriend I had that came over. The romance was gone as soon as
he the one who had to shave his whole face? He was so
No, that was a different fella.
OK. It was the Frenchman.
Yeah, but he didn't shave then. He was 14. So when I looked him up on Facebook, it turns out he got a lot hairier.
He's the Wolfman.
Anyway.
Yes.
He was quite cute back then.
The Wolf Boy.
Anyway, no, this was a different fella. And he came over and he was like a fish out of water, and I looked at him in a different way than I had done in Spain. Anyway, part of the reason why was he used to sit on the toilet and smoke fags.
Yeah.
And another thing
he's just saving time, he's relaxing.
He used to buy 2 kebabs every evening. He'd have one for his tea and he'd keep one in the fridge for his breakfast.
Oh.
That's why I don't really like doner kebabs.
I very nearly split up with my wife very early on in the relationship. We'd had a curry. And the next morning I went to have the leftovers for breakfast, and I couldn't find it. Where have you put the curry? I chucked it.
No.
What? Chucked it. And then she would do that with Domino's.
Not pizza.
No, pizza you keep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she did it with all of it. Did it with all of it.
Why would she do that?
Makes me want to puke.
The NHS has spent nearly £350,000. What on? Life-saving emergency treatments?
I hope so.
No, removing tattoos after people change their minds about their body art.
Can we get Dealey in a second, please, Kelsbells?
More than 2,000 people have been given free laser treatment courtesy of the taxpayer in the past 4 years, described by MPs as a sheer waste of scarce NHS funds.
Aye.
Tattoo removal is not routinely provided by the NHS, but guidance states it can be carried out to protect a person's health, or if the doctor believes it's causing them significant distress of serious mental health problems.
Excuse me?
Yes.
What, so, I can see how if you've got like a spider web tattooed on your face, or Jeremy Clarkson's face tattooed on your face, that can cause you mental distress. But you were obviously mentally distressed in the first place to get Clarkson's face tattooed on your face.
Yep. Or I think what we're talking about here is people having their boyfriend's name tattooed.
Oh, jog on, love.
Or maybe that guy who got Dumbledore on his back and then realised Dumbledore was gay.
Aye.
I mean, I think we're talking about that kind of vibe.
Just
Saturday afternoon, there I was, OK? I went to get myself a nice quarter chicken.
OK,
right?
beautiful.
Now, I pulled up outside the shop. Next door, there is a tattoo parlour there.
Yeah.
No curtains at the window. There was this girl pretty much naked, laying down, having a tattoo on her back.
I don't think tattoo parlours do have curtains, do they? That's a really weird thing to say.
Just see straight through. Mind you,
it was a window.
Privacy? Yeah, but
it's a shop window.
There was a lady laying down, pretty much naked, having a tattoo on her back, and she was absolutely absolutely loving it. And I thought, why? Why? Why are you doing this to yourself?
Well, the fact that the NHS is paying to have tattoos removed, I mean...
No, it's ridiculous. It's your choice. It's your choice. Nobody's forced you. You've got to live with it. You've got to deal with it.
What do they do to get rid of the tattoo? Do they just, like, tattoo over it, but in skin colour?
Yeah, but you can still see it. You can. I've seen somebody who's had this done, and if
it looks like it's been rubbed out with a dirty rubber.
Yeah, if you get a stamp on you, somebody may give you a stamp. Let's just say you go to some sort of bar or something, you go out for a cigarette, that they put a stamp on your hand. The next day, even after a shower, you can still see it. It's a bit like that.
We've got two possibles. We've got tattoo. You could do both if you wanted. Tattoos and pocket money. Turns out the average pocket money is £14.
Come on!
£4 a week? That's insane!
Kids these days, they're rich. Outrageous.
Which do you fancy, Just?
What do you fancy? I'll tell you what, let's go with what you fancy. Dunstable Fury to come later, but what do you fancy out of those two?
Kath, your choice.
Tats.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Speak to you in a bit.
Take care.
Ta-ta.
Cheers.
Early in the morning, she hitched a ride down to Louisville, holding on to $100 bill. Dressed herself like a Cajun queen in New Orleans, baby. Yeah, she looked good like a lady. Do it to me, James. Mississippi River runs like molasses in the summertime. And me, you know, I don't hardly mind. Sipping on the beer in Bourbon Street and I'm sitting easy. Don't get me wrong, it takes a lot to please me. Third hand lover. Load off your feet, she said, yeah. So I said, I like your dress. Swamps all around make you feel kind of funny, don't they, honey? She crossed her legs and looked at me funny. Sit down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. What you're doing. The bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Joseph. Early in the morning, she hitched a ride down from Louisville, holding on to $100 bill. Dressed herself like a Cajun queen in New Orleans, baby. Yeah, she looked good like a lady. And the Mississippi River runs like molasses in the summertime. And me, you know, I don't hardly mind. Down the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Down the bayou, why you never know what you're doing. Everybody's playing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing. What you're doing. Down on the bayou, why you never know just what you're doing.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are queues on the M25 anti-clockwise from junction 19 for Watford towards St Albans, and in Borehamwood on the A1 Barnet bypass there are delays between the Holiday Inn turn-off and the Stirling corner. In Bishop Stortford, Dunmow Road is closed in both directions between London Road and Stortford Hall Park. That's for water mains works, so expect delays there this morning. And in High Wycombe, looking at the speed sensors, and there are no delays at the moment around there, but there are roadworks on the A40 at the junction for Oxford Street in both directions, so that could also cause some delays later on this morning. On the train departure boards, there are no major delays at the moment showing up. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. The song we just played, Catherine, was John Phillips, Mississippi. How many S's in that?
3.
OK? The song we just played was Mississippi. How many S's in that?
Oh, in that. Hang on.
Hey! I got both the ladies that I'm working with the classic old school mental tease. I got you, Kels, but you got it quicker than Catherine. And speak. Thank you very much indeed. You see, she's getting it, Catherine.
I'm glad someone is.
So how much money do you pay your your kids in pocket money? 14 quid a week is the average. And a significant number of people are getting their tattoos removed on the NHS. Are you sure?
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: workers at Bedford Hospital raise concerns about untrained staff. A drone used for smuggling is found at Bedford Prison, and a dispute over Christmas lights in Dunstable.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The BBC has learned that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. NHS workers from 10 hospitals, including Bedford, have voiced their concerns about healthcare assistants being allowed to insert needles, dress wounds and take blood. Karen Webb from the Royal College of Nursing says the lack of nurses is putting assistants in a dangerous position.
At the moment we have a piecemeal situation where in some areas there are enough nurses who are able to support healthcare assistants. In other areas there is a woeful lack of qualified nurses. That's placing healthcare assistants in a dangerous situation. It's also putting patients in danger.
A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by officers at Bedford Prison. It's believed it was being used to smuggle things into the jail. Shopkeeper Farhat Erdogan saw people with a drone near the prison.
There was two of them, and I think one of them was controlling the monitor and the other one was controlling the drone itself. And they put it on the ground, took off. It went quite high, quite rapidly. I think it stayed up there for a little bit, and then they brought it back down again. And at that point, I had to go back into my shop because I had customers come in.
The parents of 5-year-old Aisha King, who took him abroad for specialist brain tumour treatment, say he's now cancer-free. Brett and Nagme King told the Sun newspaper their decision to defy doctors in Southampton had saved his life. A senior Conservative source says its election candidate for Dudley North will be sacked within a matter of days. Afzal Amin denies plotting to persuade the English Defence League to announce a march and then scrap it, allowing him to take the credit for diffusing tensions. The Conservative MP for Mid-Bedfordshire, Nadine Dorris, says he should resign.
I think he should go. But it's very difficult to believe what you read in the newspapers because, as we know, newspapers will present not all necessarily the whole story or the whole context. But I think from what I've read, what little I've read, it's all pretty damning stuff.
A family in Dunstable has received an abusive letter because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. His wife Michelle says they can't see what the problem is.
There's other things going on in this world, and they need to concentrate on the real bad stuff, not silly lights that's, they're not hurting anyone. They should come and face us, really, and tell us their opinion face to face, not do it in a letter. And then I can tell her what I think.
In sport, Novak Djokovic has defeated Roger Federer to successfully defend his title in Indian Wells. And the weather this morning will be frosty at first, turning cloudy with the chance of rain by this evening. Top temperatures around 11 degrees Celsius, that's 52 degrees Fahrenheit. You can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Hi, I'm Ian Marshall. Thank you, Lee. Morning, Ian Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Tick your diaries now. That should do it. We've reminded them, you see. Hospital staff doing stuff they're not meant. Christmas lights up at the end of March. How much pocket money do you give your kids? And tattoos being removed on the NHS. No. Yes. 08459 455 555.
Across beds.
Now, let's see if she's ready.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Every time Every day at this time, I ask Catherine for the texts. Catherine has been producing since November 2013. Not once has she had the text machine open. Catherine, do you have any texts?
Yeah.
Oh!
Hey, patronising clapping, thanks. Sue in Milton Keynes. A few years ago on the M1...
Morning, Sue.
I was following a truck with the words "Die Bart" on the back.
Oh.
It was only when I got close I realised it was an Eddie Stobart truck with a replacement door without the lettering on the left. Thanks. Maff in Hanslope. If there is just one house in Dunstable, they want to think themselves lucky. Hanslope still has them hanging along the high street, says Maff in Hanslope. He should know. Morning, says Kate in Milton Keynes.
Morning, Kate.
Tattoos are a personal thing. I got mine done when on my 40th birthday.
Oh, dear.
And I love it. If you can afford the tattoo, then you can afford to get it off.
Anything else?
That'll do.
Thanks very much indeed. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number should you wish to give us a call. Now, the BBC has learnt that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. As part of a special investigation, NHS workers from 10 hospitals in the region, including Bedford, have contacted the BBC voicing their concerns. They say that staff are being left to insert needles, dress wounds and take blood without being properly trained. Well, this nurse, who wishes to remain anonymous, works at Bedford Hospital.
I have seen some very poor practice. Healthcare assistants being given responsibilities that are way beyond them. They are doing procedures to a very poor standard and a blind eye is being turned by managers all the time. I know they are unsafe because I am a trained nurse. There are dangerous things going on in the wards and they are not being reported upwards. They are doing dressing changes, but they shouldn't be because this means they have to assess if the injuries are healing or deteriorating. This is above their training and job description as it's classed as an assessment. Only trained professionals should be assessing. They are also stopping drip pumps and medication is being given. Again, you need to know what you are doing when you do this, and it's not an HCA's duty.
That was, of course, the voice of an actress reading the words, as everybody that the BBC has spoken to wishes to remain anonymous. Tracy Lambert is East of England rep for Unison. Morning, Tracy.
Good morning.
Do you hear many cases like the one we've just heard?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not surprised at all by the outcomes of the BBC report. We have significant numbers of healthcare assistants in Unison membership, and they come to us with issues such as the one described by the nurse on your report.
How many of these stories are you hearing?
They're quite frequent, and I think the issue that Unison has, and we've raised this directly with the government and with the trusts themselves, is that it's increased over the last 4 to 5 years as we have seen the numbers of registered general nurses reducing across the region. Our healthcare assistant members have had to pick up the slack from the lack of registered nurses working on the wards.
And what kind of things are these unqualified people doing that they shouldn't be doing?
Well, anything that any tasks that they haven't been properly trained and supervised for. Healthcare assistants, your listeners will probably be surprised to know, deliver about 60% of the care to patients in wards and departments. But they should be supervised by registered general nurses. So anything that they are doing which is deemed beyond their remit is wrong, shouldn't be happening, and trusts need to acknowledge that by increasing the numbers of registered general nurses on the wards and departments, but also ensuring that healthcare assistants are properly trained.
Why is it happening? Is it money?
Well, it is money, and we've lost significant numbers of registered nurses. We know that we are about, across the east of England, about 2,000 whole-time equivalent RGNs short. The trusts are looking to recruit more people. The trade unions and professional organisations are working with the Trust and Health Education England to improve the training of healthcare assistants, but also to recruit more nurses, to get more nurses back onto the wards and the departments.
What are you calling on the government to do?
Well, we have worked with the government to ensure that there is now this care standard certificate that all new healthcare assistants from the 1st of April will have to complete, so that they will have a baseline of competencies. We are working with Health Education England to improve the training under a new project called Talent for Care. But more importantly, we need to recruit more registered general nurses to ensure that healthcare assistants are properly supervised at work.
Tracy, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed. That's Tracy Lambert, who is East of England rep for Unison. 08459 455 555. If you want to give us a call. Pocket. I'm still staggered. The average pocket money in this country is £14. When I was a kid, I seem to remember getting £1.25.
I only got 12 quid when I started doing an actual job.
What paid my first paycheck?
Else.
My first my first pay packet with actual cash in was B-Jams. I worked 3 hours on a Friday, 5 till 8, and I worked, I guess, 8 hours on a Saturday, and my first pay packet was £13.20.
Yeah, it was quite a lot of money then.
£13. And why is there some... Hang on a minute, I'm supposed to be getting this per hour. Why have I got this? Tax. Oh, man! Oh, man! Come on, I'm 15 years old. You can't tax a child.
Oh, yes, they can.
Oh, man, tax!
But I think from my parents, I used to get about £4, not even £5.
I can see why Cheryl Cole is so angry about the prospect of having to pay a mansion tax if the Labour Party... You heard that Cheryl Cole's kicked off because she's got 17 million quid and she already pays effing loads of tax to partly quote her. And I felt the same as a 15-year-old working for B-Jams. I felt like she does now as a multi-millionaire.
Have you seen what else Cheryl Cole's been talking about? Not having to get your kit off to sell records.
Cheryl Cole, some of those what band was she in? Girls Aloud pop videos were pretty steamy stuff, weren't they? Pretty steamy stuff. Oh, well, yeah, because she's full of talent. She'll be going to the NHS to get her bum cleaned up. Won't she? We're talking about tattoos.
They're going to need a bigger laser.
Tattoos.
Not that she's got a big bum, but it's a big tattoo.
It's a tattoo. It's an ample tattoo that covers her tiny posterior.
She's basically got a rose bush on her behind. Hey, speaking of girls that get their kit off for fame...
Please do, yes.
That film was good on the weekend, wasn't it? With Rihanna in it as the... but that did jar with me a little when I realised it was Rihanna.
It's you're talking of Home, the animation I took my boys to.
Which, by the way, was really good. Really enjoyed it. All the way through, I was thinking, that girl's got a beautiful, husky voice. Maybe a little bit old for her, but OK, I can deal with it. She's got a lovely voice. Then you realise at the end, all along, the 14-year-old female protagonist was played by the scantily clad Rihanna.
I preferred her mum, played by the
J-Lo.
scantily clad Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
It was a good film. We both cried at the same points.
Yeah.
The bit where she, with spoiler alert, guys, she hooks up with her mum, and the bit where the alien gets crushed.
He's cute, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but I was in floods of tears. Floods of tears.
Such a good film, though. I mean, I've seen some stinkers recently.
I thought it was. I didn't think it was. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was brilliant.
I liked it better than... I've seen Box Trolls.
Box Trolls.
I thought that was beautiful, but...
it's not a kids' film.
Dull.
Yeah, not a kids' film.
And I saw Into the Woods, which just went on and on and on.
Speaking of dull films, they showed the trailer again for Cinderella.
Oh, I want to see that.
It looks rubbish.
It looks brilliant.
Where's the brilliant bit? Well, we've seen all the story in the film, in the trailer.
Yeah, you kind of know what happens.
But wait,
That's not a spoiler.
It doesn't look like a kids' film. It looks like a mum's film. It looks like a
film.
It looks like a film for women who were once 13.
Which they would be if they're now women.
Yeah, exactly. So it just doesn't look... It looks very, very dull.
Well, tell you what. You can take the kids to see the Minion movie.
Yeah.
I'll take them to see Cinderella.
You're not taking my boys to see Cinderella. They'll be
love
bored.
It. Nah. One will love it.
That's true.
Hey, in the 70s, says Phil.
Hello, Phil.
I used to get 50p a week pocket money. I used to save it to get something I really wanted, like the textbook we used at school, but with answers. Made maths a lot easier, says Phil. Practical Phil.
Yeah. Have you ever cheated in your life? 08459 455 555.
And one thing Ben from Buckingham would say, if you're thinking of getting a tattoo, think what design you want and then only get it done when you're sure. Too many get tattoos without thinking, then want them removed. But not via the NHS, they should use their own money.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole debate about gastric bands and stuff, and I kind of err on the side that for the majority of people, the gastric band phenomenon is worthy of NHS funding. But having tattoos removed... Here's a nuts story. In the Sun, page 10. We'll do... all right. Morning, Snuffers.
Morning, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, fella. What you got?
It was just about the healthcare assistants. So my daughter, she's coming up to a year old, and she was in hospital just before Christmas. She got a bit of gastroenteritis and she's a bit dehydrated.
Oh, blimey.
So we took her in, and initially the care was perfect. She went straight to kind of accident emergency. They said, okay, we're going to keep her in, we need to rehydrate her. She then went on to the ward, and all in all, we were in hospital for, I think it was about 5 or 6 days, which by all accounts was probably about 3 times too much for kind of what we had. But basically she was put on this rehydration fluid, but it was done through a cannula, and across the course of kind of 2 days, they got the cannula wrong 5 times. So they put one in her left wrist, but then I went home and my wife stayed in the hospital, and we came in the morning, and there'd been kind of over 10 hours the fluid was meant to be going in, and it turns out the cannula had fallen out.
Oh, man.
And then she'd kind of, because the cannula had come out, she then had this kind of open thing on her hand that started bleeding, so they put it from the left hand to the right hand. That then came out. And it wasn't because my daughter was kind of pulling it out. They wrapped it up really tightly in the bandage, but it just wasn't in properly.
And who had put it in? Was it nurses or was it these the staff that shouldn't have been doing it?
Well, it was the third time it came out. I was trying to kind of be quite measured and they have a very difficult job. I was trying to be kind of very respectful, but I did actually kind of say after the third time, I was like not trying to be funny, but can we kind of try and make sure it stays in? And I said I was just kind of chatting to the people there, and I said, how long have you been a nurse for? And things like that. She said, I'm not a nurse, I'm a healthcare assistant. And then I was thinking, well, we haven't, apart from an accident emergency, we haven't seen a nurse since we got here. And it was so frustrating. It got to the point where actually she was so dehydrated, and we were also told by the healthcare assistant that we had to keep feeding her so that she would become rehydrated. But actually what it turns out had happened is that because she'd been so dehydrated and because she'd been being sick, she'd actually, she basically, her bowel had folded in on itself.
Oh, blimey. Snuffers, listen, we've got to move on. Is she all right now?
Yeah, she's fine.
Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, I appreciate you sharing your story. Sorry to cut you so short, but thank you very much.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 southbound is stop-start between the Toddington services and Junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and it's really busy as well on the M25 anti-clockwise between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 19 for Watford. In Bricket Wood on the North Orbital Road there are queues around the M25 Junction 21A roundabout, and in Watford on Exchange Road that's very busy at Beach and Grove, but looking at the train departure boards there are no major delays showing up at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 7:17. It's Monday the 23rd of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Staff at Bedford Hospital have raised concerns about unqualified assistants carrying out medical procedures. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by officers at Bedford Prison. And a man from Dunstable is denying he's too lazy to take down his Christmas lights.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Introducing.
We first met James Bay in a band from Hitchin in 2008. As a solo artist in 2012, he uploaded his music to bbc.co.uk/introducing.
How we gonna move together?
Since then, he's been playlisted on national radio and is now signed to an international record label.
It was time to go and see what else was out there, explore the wider world with music.
And his debut album is out now.
I'm not always thinking about lyrics, though, in that respect. Sonically, it's about impact.
Hear James Bay talk about the album, track by track. Online now at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
I'm trying to remember. We threw this out there, and I cannot for the life of me remember. This is why I need my whiteboard, which is there, and I just can't be bothered to get it. We were talking about have you ever cheated? And I don't remember where that came from, Catherine. Why were we talking about have you ever cheated?
That was from Phil, who used his pocket money to buy maths books with
Beautiful.
answers in.
Lisa says, yes, I cheat. When I play online Scrabble... Oh, this is outrageous. This makes me...
What's outrageous?
Let me
You're riding my backside for not having the text up, and you've got them in there.
No, I haven't got the text. This is on a tweet, mate. So I will still ride your backside, but that's just for my own pleasure. Yes, I've cheated at online Scrabble. I log onto Anagrammer. Boom, 130 points for a triple word score.
Yeah,
that is outrageous.
Online Scrabble with someone who did that until I got wise.
That's outrageous, Lisa. That is being played on good faith, those Scrabble games, Words with Friends, etc. So you're out of order, Lisa. No, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Why?
You did it on me.
I did.
I was winning. He let me win the first one, and then he opened up the old Anagrammer. So all of a sudden, I'm really thick. How did this happen?
I tell you what was out of order is you then told my best friend Simon that I do the same to him. That's none of his business. He doesn't need to know that.
He suspected that you were doing that.
He didn't
anyway.
suspect nothing.
Of course he did.
You see, they've made a board version of Words with Friends.
No.
Yeah, they've made
called Scrabble.
Well, no, they've made it onto a board game, but it is a board game called Scrabble. That's nuts, isn't it? And Matthew says, in terms of pocket money, I pay the kids 20 pence each to jump up and down in the bin to crush the rubbish.
Good shout.
That is a good shout. That is a good shout.
Because we all do it.
Ever cheated, pocket money, tattoos. Oh, and Christmas lights. Why are we talking about Christmas lights in March? Well, let me tell you why. A family in Dunstable have received a letter calling them pikeys because they still have their Christmas lights up. You know, the ones outside the front of the house. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and a heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. He doesn't know who wrote the hand-delivered note, which accused them of making the community look a disgrace. We'll speak to Kevin in a few minutes. Before that, though, Justin, you've been out to Dunstable to see the lights, haven't you?
I have indeed. It was strange. I went on Friday. It was a lovely sunny day on Friday, and there I was outside this property. It's Manor Park in Dunstable, and you've got the Christmas lights outside the property. You can see the picture on our Facebook page. People saying in the letter it's a disgrace. It's certainly not a disgrace, but it just looks a bit weird. In March, it's not Christmas, it was a lovely day, and there we are looking at Christmas lights. I have been talking to the locals along that road, mixed views. Here's what people had to say. Emma, you live next door to this property. Do they bother you in the slightest?
Not even slightly, no, not at all. My kids love coming back. Every day when we come home, my son says, "Is it Christmas today, Mum?" No, it's not, son. But it looks like it.
Well, a bit of an eyesore, aren't they? They're all right when they light them up in the, Christmas time, but now it's ridiculous, isn't it? Hey?
So you want them taken down?
Well, really, yeah.
I don't mind them. They ain't doing no harm.
Who's done this, do you think? Come on, talk to me. Who's done this? I want to go and talk to them.
I don't have a clue. It's probably someone from around that end, because that end looks like posh. Like proper stuck-up people around there, I reckon.
So they're stuck up round there, and they think people like you are a council house scum?
I don't know. I'm surprised I ain't got letters about all the trolleys that I've got.
How many trolleys have you got? You've got 2 trolleys. What are your trolleys doing there? What do you use those for?
Bring my shopping home.
Don't bother me in that respect. I just think it's daft leaving them up. Quite frankly, that's all there is to it.
Mess. Don't bother looking. No, why should I look? It's a mess. Seasonable, isn't it? You have them when the time's right. Why, someone complained?
Somebody's written them a very frank letter, which is very, very offensive.
Oh, no, you don't offend them. All I say is people on the social get away with everything.
What does that mean?
Who can afford to have that many lights up? That's all I say.
Just lastly, if I told you that the man in that house has been very, very unwell, which is the reason why they're still there, would that change your opinion?
Turn that off. I've never heard such a load of in all my life.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Gosh, strong opinions there, Just.
Yep, definitely strong, because, I mean, it is unusual, to be fair. I can't think... I live in Hemel. I can't think of any property in my town where people have still got lots of Christmas lights outside on the property. So it is a one-off. Some people there fully behind them saying, come on, they're not hurting anybody. Let's make it clear as well. These lights, they're not turned on. They're just outside the property. But certainly a divide there down that road. And some people, it's got to be said, very angry and they don't really believe Kevin's story, that they think he's well enough.
Okay.
They've certainly seen him out and about. They think he's well enough to take those lights down. They just think that he's lazy.
Justin, thank you. Let's put that to Kevin. He's on the line now. Morning, Kevin.
Morning.
You're lazy.
Apparently so. I might have been lazy, but at least when I went to school I knew how to write letters properly with proper pronunciation and stuff like that. I mean, Pike is with an apostrophe, March with a small M, so it makes them no better than me, does it?
Well, it's. Let me read the letter. I've got the letter in front of me.
Yeah.
This is the letter you received. To the Pikeys that live at number 80, I am fed up of seeing your grotesque, tacky council house Christmas lights. It is March, for goodness sake. Your house leaves this lovely community looking a disgrace. It looks like a state. It sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't want to keep driving past this eyesore. Every time I do, my kids scream. I know you live in a council house, but there's no need to make it look like one. Yours sincerely, a very disgruntled citizen. Well, how did you feel when you got that letter, Kev?
I was a little bit upset. One, that they didn't have the guts to post it through the door. They went via a stamp. So it just shows what kind of people they are. So they're up, they're not coming down, and they're not doing anybody any harm. I don't switch them on until it comes nearer Christmas, apart from they're now going to go on in April, which is Autism Aware Month, because I have a 15-year-old autistic son, so that'll give them something to moan about.
Why are they staying up, Kevin?
Because, due to my ill health, I don't want to risk it going up, put them up, take them down, put them up, take them down.
What? Describe your ill health for those people who don't know.
I've had various strokes. My last one was in November.
Okay. And when did you put the lights up?
The lights went up. A friend came round and did them at the end of November when he'd heard that I'd had a...
Okay, so you didn't put the lights up?
No.
Why don't you ask your friend to take them down?
Because I don't see why I should have to keep asking people to take them up, put them down, take them up, put them down, when I could leave them up.
So the health thing that we've been talking about this morning isn't really relevant to the story, is it? You just want to keep them up there?
No, I'm just... The reason we're up there is so that I don't have to keep asking people, because of my health, to help me put them up and take them down.
You wouldn't have to keep asking, though, would you? You'd have to ask them once to take them down and once to put them up again.
Yeah, well, that's... Keep asking other people to do something that I want done. I'm not the sort of person that goes, getting other people to do something that I want to do.
It could be argued, Kevin, and we heard some of those voices there, that you're lazy.
Well, if everybody's entitled to their opinion, but once again, they hide behind a microphone. Don't come and tell me their opinions.
Why doesn't your daughter take the lights down? There are people around you, Kevin, that could take the lights down. Would take what, an hour?
Well, it'd probably take more than that. It took my friend two and a half days to put them up.
Really? 2.5 days to put them up?
Yeah. You've got all the wiring to...
Well, there's not that many lights, Kevin.
I know, that's my biggest argument, but there will be this year.
Right.
Because my friends already told me we're going to make sure the house is covered and really give the...
Well, here's the thing, Kevin. We heard from your wife earlier on, and she says you're going to put up more lights for April. Yeah. Who's going to put those lights up?
My friend's going to do it for me.
Instead of putting up more lights in April, so you're quite happy to ask him to do that. You couldn't just ask him to take them down.
No, you're putting words in my mouth now. He offered to do it. I didn't ask him. He's disgusted with what's going on. So he is now going to put more up for me. Let's put that straight. He's offered to put them up. The same as people on Facebook and Spotted in Dunstable have said that they will come round and help me take them down.
Okay.
It's now the principle of it.
No, but, well...
The principle is now nobody tells me what to do in my house.
Well, it's not. The thing is, Kevin. Kevin.
No,
Kevin. It's not.
Right,
Kevin.
Don't drive past
Kevin.
and their kids scream. If they don't want to look at it, then don't drive past my house and look at it. Simple.
Kevin, the thing is, it isn't in your house, is it? That's the problem. It's outside your house, and we all
it's
have,
within the boundaries of my property.
we all have a responsibility to our neighbours, don't we? To present our properties in the best way possible, don't we?
Yeah, but it's in my house, my property. It's within my boundaries.
But everyone who walks past it and lives near it has to see it.
That's correct.
Instead
and the minority are complaining about it.
Instead of
is this woman driving a car, looking at my lights? Don't you think that's more of a dangerous issue?
Well, it is very
that
distracting.
We should be talking about.
Kevin.
Kids screaming over Christmas.
Kevin.
What kind of mentality is the person?
Kevin, calm down. You'll give yourself another stroke.
No, that's what I think I'm heading for.
Well, calm down then, because you don't want you to have a heart attack on the radio. For goodness sakes. The thing is, those lights are distracting, aren't they?
No, because they're not on, so you don't notice them unless you're looking for them.
Well, I suspect you would notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 or 10 Father Christmases outside a house. You'd notice that whether they were on or not, wouldn't you, Kev?
Not when you're driving, you shouldn't, no. When you're walking past, I believe you have an argument.
Instead of winding up...
When you're driving...
Okay. Instead of winding up the neighbours...
I'm not winding up my neighbours.
Well, but Kevin...
My two neighbours next to
Kevin,
me,
Kevin...
the road are fine with it.
Okay, Kevin...
You mean other people in the street. Not neighbours, they're not neighbours. Neighbours live next door to you.
Kevin, can I get a word in edgeways, please, mate? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Neighbours live in your street. That's when neighbours become good friends. We all know that. But instead of winding them up and being antagonistic, your mate, who's very kindly offered to put up more lights, why don't you just say to him, look, do us a favour, could you take them down for me?
No, because it's a principle. I'm not bound down to what other people tell me what I can and can't do.
Okay. Permission to speak freely, Kevin?
Yeah.
It looks bloody awful.
Well, that's fine. That's your opinion.
If that was on the house next door to me, I'd be furious.
Well, you'd have to stay furious then, wouldn't you?
All right, Kevin, nice to talk to you.
OK.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Kevin Franklin. 08459 455 555 is the telephone. Now, we'll discuss that after we get the travel with Sammy.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's stop-start on the M1 southbound between the Toddington services and Junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. And on the A5 southbound, that's looking very busy from Lynch Hill towards Old Watling Street. On the M40 northbound, that's looking very slow between the Denham roundabout and the M25. And actually on the M25, it's looking heavy now from Junction 17 for Maple Cross to 14 for Heathrow Terminal 4. In Watford on the Exchange Road, that's very busy around Beach and Grove. And in Bricketwood on the North Orbital Road, that's looking slow around the roundabout at the junction for the M25, but looking at the train departure boards, there are no major delays showing up there at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'd love your thoughts on, not yours, Sammy, you can move on to your next station. I'd love your thoughts, dear listener, on Kevin, who we just heard there. It's not about the illness, as we've been reporting. That's kind of irrelevant, and you know, bless him. He needs to let go of some of that anger, man, because that's not going to... No wonder he's having heart attacks and strokes. But it's not about the illness at all, is it? It's about proving a point, I think, Catherine.
Yeah, he doesn't like being told what to do, and none of us do. But if that was my dad, I'd say, do you know what? This is not a battle worth fighting.
I'd love your thoughts. And I know that Kevin's family are listening, so if any of them want to give us a call, 08459 455 555. We'll speak after the news.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines. The BBC has learned that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. NHS workers from 10 hospitals, including Bedford, have voiced their concerns about the role of healthcare assistants. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by staff at Bedford Prison. It's believed it was being used to smuggle things into the jail. And a family in Dunstable have received an abusive letter because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Kevin Franklin says he can't take them down because he recently had a heart attack. The weather this morning, frosty at first, turning cloudy with a chance of rain. Top temperatures around 11 degrees Celsius, 52 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Stevenage manager Graham Wesley says an incident involving his skipper Ronnie Henry and Dagenham's Joss Labadie on Saturday is now a police matter. Labadie's been accused of biting Henry during the Daggers' win over the Borough in League Two.
You don't go on a football pitch expecting to lose your finger, and Ronnie was horrified by what had gone on. It's a football match, and he's nearly lost his finger. That's, I think, what led to the scene at the end when there was some, clearly some nastiness going on.
Watford lost top spot in the Championship as they were beaten 1-0 by Ipswich. MK Dons are now 4 points from an automatic promotion position in League One after their win against Notts County. Chelsea have gone 6 points clear at the top of the Premiership table after a 3-2 win at Hull City, but the Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho believes there's still plenty to play for.
Mathematically, everything is wide open. But the good thing for us is that we have just to think about us. I believe that their opponents were watching this game, were worried with the result of this game. We are not when they play. When they play, and we don't carry the results because we just focus on ourselves.
And in tennis, Novak Djokovic has defeated Roger Federer in the final at Indian Wells and to take his 50th career title.
A second match point for Djokovic on the Federer serve. Down the centre he goes. Good return from Djokovic. Big forehand is hooked wide by Federer. And Novak Djokovic, arms aloft, has retained his Indian Wells title.
And that's BBC Three Counties News and Sport with more at 8 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
OK, well, we just spoke to Kevin Franklin about his house that's got Christmas decorations out. And I've just looked at the Facebook page, and most people are in support of Kevin on the Facebook page. Most of them. Although one gentleman where is it? One gentleman posted... When were his health problems? And someone wrote back going, "Oh, you're just as bad as those bigots." But the Facebook page is misleading, is very misleading. And when you read it, this is why I avoided this story last night. I knew there'd be more to it. When you read it like it's written on the Facebook page, your sympathies lie with Kevin. A family in Dunstable have received an anonymous letter calling them pikeys because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. Now, I read that as he put the decorations up in December, he had a heart attack the end of December, early January, and a stroke. He can't take them down. That's not the story at all. He had the stroke in November before the lights went up. A mate put them up for him. Somebody, I suggest possibly even Kevin himself could, if he wanted to, somebody could take those lights down. It isn't that there is a man who has had a stroke, can't get his lights down. Somebody put them up, he could take them down. He said the health issue has nothing to do with it.
And now he doesn't want to take them down because he's proving a point. It's his house, he can do what he wants.
And he's going to put more up.
The one thing I would say is that note's out of order.
Oh, yeah, of course. And if you're going to have a Barney with a neighbour, have the guts to put your name on it and, say my name is Steve at number 35 or whatever.
Although, remember, I was plotting to do something to a neighbour quite recently.
Oh, you were going to put poo through their letterbox, weren't you?
No, I wasn't going to put poo through their letterbox. A neighbour of mine started putting a lot of white goods on her drive, and they were not budging.
No.
So I thought, bit of passive aggression, bit of comedy.
Poo through the letterbox?
No, not poo through the letterbox. Operation Shift Your Fridge was going to involve me going to buy some of those nice alphabet magnets and spelling out various messages, like, I need a dump for the fridge, get it? And stuff like that. I never did it, but I was very, very tempted. I would never have put such an aggressive note through anybody's door. Just comical fridge magnets. That's different, right?
Actually, I don't have a problem with the letter.
I do.
I have a problem with some of the language. I have a problem with the word pikey. I have a problem with the comment about the council house.
I have a problem with the bad grammar.
The grammar's not that bad, to be honest. They've used commas very, very well. They should have put their name and their number on it.
Not the way to handle it, is it?
But I just think it looks... The story is not the story we've posted on the Facebook page at all, and I think that changes it completely. Irene's in Milton Keynes. Good morning, Irene.
Morning.
What would you like to say?
Well,
There's 2 points. One, if you're in a council house anyway, the council have rules and regulations.
Yep.
A second one, has anybody thought that could be a fire hazard now?
Oh.
Because, we're in the summer or spring or summer.
Yeah, something like that.
We can have very hot, we hope, some hot days.
Dream on, Irene, dream on.
Yeah, okay. But it could, I think it just could be a fire hazard myself.
Well, I don't like these things at the best of time. I think they probably potentially could be a risk, but Irene, it just looks awful.
Yeah, I don't think I would like. I don't like defacing places.
And I
lived in council houses. I would never. But even if you live in your own, indoors, yes. Outside, no.
And this is the thing, Irene.
Unless you're doing it for a charity, which some people do, Christmas time.
Irene, thank you very much
at
indeed.
Christmas, I have very tasteful little lights.
Oh, I don't like them.
And they don't flash or do anything. They're just nice.
Yeah.
They're just there at Christmas time. You said that I was common.
Yep.
Yeah, I am.
Yep.
Not as common as I could be because my mum's got rainbow lights that flash. So, I am moving on a little bit. I don't mind that Christmas time. But, Santa's creeping up the side of your wall and that, I draw the line.
Oh, okay.
I just think you do have a responsibility to your neighbours, and neighbours aren't just the people that live next to you, opposite you, the whole street. Your neighbourhood. You have a responsibility to your neighbourhood to kind of make your property as presentable as possible. I don't mean you have really posh windows and stuff. Paint, just tidy, clean and tidy. What you do inside your home, beautiful. You do whatever you want, but outside, we all have a responsibility, don't we? Mm-hmm. Ev's in Luton. Morning, Everard.
It's not Everard.
It is to me, my darling. What have you got for us?
Right, okay. So I'm listening to this and I'm thinking to myself, well, I actually don't think that... I think that anybody is allowed to do what they like with their house. You pay a lot of money for your house and it's your responsibility and it's not for anybody else to tell you what to do with it. Now, I understand there's a presentation issue where you would want the place to look as good as possible. However, nobody should be able to tell you what to do, and I think they're absolutely wrong by trying to force him to do what he doesn't want to do. He's not going along and telling anybody else that they should paint their door red or paint it green. So they're actually wrong.
Okay, so I can do anything to the front of my house, can I?
Well, actually, you can.
Right, in that case, I'm going to paint a large picture of a naked woman, and the front door is going to be the rude bits. Is that all right?
If you really wanted to do that, you could.
But would you like that if you lived? Would you like that if you lived opposite me?
I actually live next door to some people who are using their back garden as a dump. I hate it. I keep mine tidy, and next door to mine theirs is terrible. But there's nothing that I can do about it.
Well, two things. First of all, it's the back garden, so it's slightly different. Secondly, that's a health hazard for your garden, because that will attract foxes and rats.
That's correct.
So you could do something about that.
I can call the council, but the council can't do a lot about it because actually it's a private property, and they would have to take the people to court, which they're not willing to do. So I've already been down that route.
So you tried to do something. Well, what were you doing trying to tell someone how to live their life and what they should do with their house?
No, well, see, now you're getting it, you're changing it.
Am I getting it twisted?
Yes, you are.
Go on, untwist it for me.
I did speak to them about it, and I said, look, if you guys can't do anything or you can't get the stuff to them, we can always call the council and get them to move it, right? And that's how the story went.
But so you were still trying to encourage the neighbours to do something they didn't want to do?
Encourage, but not tell. There's a difference.
OK, very subtle one, I would argue, Ev, but always good to talk to you. Steve's in Dunstable. Morning, Steve.
Morning.
What would you like to say, Steve?
It's a sad morning when you're worried about someone's Christmas lights on their houses.
Well, we could discuss IS or the councillor that's been accused of trying to start up an EDL march or any of those other bits and pieces. But this is a bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit like I suppose. I'll give you that. But anyway, at the end of the day, can he not get his mate to take the lights down? I suppose everyone's moaning and he's putting his back up now, isn't he? I suppose.
Did you hear the interview, Stephen?
Just slightly caught. I just caught it, sort of thing, at the end of it.
I did put that to him, and he doesn't want his mate to take the lights down. His mate is instead going to put some more lights up. Now, that is just... Sorry?
Love it.
That is just sticking your fingers up at everyone, isn't it?
Well, what's wrong with that? If he wants to stick his fingers up, listen. People must have sad lives to be whinging about Christmas lights on the house. I mean, there's more important things to worry about.
But that argument, no, Steve. That argument about there's more important things to worry about doesn't.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I know there are. Of course there are.
Is.
Well, Steve, I know there are, but that doesn't wash. That's irrelevant. Because if we only focus on the more important things, then the small things don't get done, and it's the small things that drive you mad on a day-to-day basis. Hey, listen, people having their heads chopped off in Syria is flipping awful, and that's massive and that's huge. But do you know what? That's not going to wind me up. That's not going to drive me nuts.
Nobody's actually standing there all day looking at the house, are they? Christmas lights. They're driving by, they're going to work, and they're just having a whinge. We all whinge. I'll probably drive by and go, geez, he's got his Christmas lights up.
But what about the people, the poor people that live...
I wouldn't call them abuse. I wouldn't give them abuse or anything like that.
And that's out of order. But the poor people that live opposite it, I mean, come on, that's heartbreaking, isn't it? It looks awful, Steve.
You pull your curtains, you shut your front door. You don't look out the window all day at someone's Christmas lights and moan about them, do you?
Well, if you live directly opposite it, imagine, right, and I don't know this, I believe it's a council property, I don't know, but imagine you own the house next door and you try and sell it. Well, you've lost $5,000 at least.
It's not all about money.
Well, it is.
About money. No, it's not. It's not.
Selling houses is, to be fair.
Yeah, she's right. Selling houses is all about money.
No wonder we've got homeless people. No one can afford a house.
Well, they could probably afford the one next door.
Anyway, all property's theft, isn't it, Steve?
It's what?
All property's theft under your glorious rule, if I remember rightly.
Go on, Steve, go off. Go and badger someone. We'll speak to you later.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah. We got any texts before we go to the traffic? Go on, let's have the top 4 texts, please.
Okay, Tommy Milton Keynes, who can't get his thing off caps lock by the look of it, or he's really furious.
Oh, Tom.
Why don't you leave that man alone? What's the matter with you? All my son's next door neighbour left his lights up 1 year. No one said anything. Time M&K.
Okay, thank you.
Elle says if he lives in what is possibly still a council house, then it isn't his house. The council will have restrictions on what can and cannot be done to one. He's being petty. It's not Christmas. Remove them. And anonymous one say, something not very nice about Kevin. Not surprised he has friends with that attitude. Let's not get personal.
Let's not get personal, guys. Come on.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's busy on the M1 southbound past junction 12 for Flitwick, and it's also looking really slow on the approach on the A5 southbound from the Lynch Hill at Markyate towards the M1 junction 9 for Redbourne. On the M40 northbound, it's slow around the Denham roundabout towards the M25, and looking at the M25 itself, it's stop between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 14 for Heathrow Terminal 4, looking at the speed sensors. In Watford on Exchange Road, it's looking busy at Upton Road, and having a look at the train departure boards, the 7:56 train from Brighton to Bedford has been cancelled. Samantha Breff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Here's the comment from Tarquin on Facebook. How recent was this medical episode? Sharon replies, your response is on the same level as the person that wrote this note. Or maybe it is you, bigot. Then Tarquin replies, I'm sorry, I didn't realise you were from Luton. Play nice, guys. Play nice. No, actually, play nasty, because I like reading it. I'm just keeping out of it, all right? Right, 7:46, Monday the 23rd of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Staff at Bedford Hospital have raised concerns about unqualified assistants carrying out medical procedures. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by officers at Bedford Prison. And a man from Dunstable is denying he's too lazy to take down his Christmas lights. More of your calls on that soon. Before that, let's get the weather. Here's Sarah.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. A chilly but sunny start this morning, and that's the story of much of this morning. We'll keep sunshine. I say that there is a finger of cloud which is stretching up from Watford across Hertford, some parts of Hertfordshire, but the rest of us, there's a little bit of cloud in Buckinghamshire, but mostly we are looking at some sunshine to start this morning, and certainly a dry first half of the day, or a bulk of the day. Temperatures still struggling somewhere between freezing and 2 degrees at the moment, but sunshine for most of us through much of the day today, as I say, and then later we've got a weather front to sink towards us from the north and west, and that's going to bring some cloud for the afternoon. afternoon and some rain later through this evening. But before that, top temperature of 9, possibly 10 Celsius. And then rain through the latter part of the evening into the first part of tomorrow morning, but clear by breakfast. And then we start with some cloud, but as we go through the day, we'll see some sunshine coming through. The risk of some showers later in the afternoon, top temperature of 6 or 7 Celsius, so chillier than today. And then we start with some frost and fog possibly on Wednesday morning, but Wednesday should be dry with some sunshine, a little bit cooler still at 7 or 8 Celsius. The next couple of days after today will be that bit cooler, and then we warm up again towards the end of the week, back into double figures. But the payoff is that it will be wet and fairly breezy as well on Thursday.
Roberto Perroni on BBC Three Counties Radio.
On Thursday, I'm spending the afternoon at the Waterside Theatre in Aylesbury. It's all in aid of a new show that's being rolled out across the country aimed at helping injured military personnel.
When you're injured, you become incredibly vulnerable, but you lose your voice. So this is all about giving a voice back.
You'll also hear from one of the project's main ambassadors, Ray Winston.
The big thing with these guys is self-esteem after an injury's occurred, whether it be physical or whether it be mental.
Roberto Perroni.
Live from the Waterside Theatre in Aylesbury, Thursday from 3 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Pat's in Houghton Regis. Morning, Pat.
Good morning.
What you got for us, boss?
Off-road motorcycles.
Yeah. Oh, right. That came from nowhere. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's really getting out of hand. It's Dunstable and Houghton Regis. You ring up the police. Oh, we haven't got the resources, and yet they're nonchalantly just driving two abreast sometimes in the road in Houghton Regis, talking to each other, holding the traffic up with no crash helmets on, no nothing, apart from the bikes. And it's just got out of hand.
You say out of hand.
Yeah.
Motorcyclists riding nonchalantly.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like anarchy.
Well, no, and then when they start to speed up to go up to the roads they want to get up to, then they do the wheelies. And they also do it in amongst the children in the parks at Grove, which was over the weekend, and also over the parks in Houghton Regis. And then not just one or two, sometimes there can be 5 or 6 of them. Just, hammering around.
What was the area, Catherine, where we covered this? Was it Houghton Regis? It was Houghton Regis. The Houghton Regis Chargers are our
it was the Rec, wasn't it?
Cricket team, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because we've covered this before, Pat. They're still at it, are they?
It's got worse. The problem has got worse by the fact that the police are using that old excuse, which I heard since 1985, no resources.
Who was the MP there that we spoke to who was excellent on this?
Wasn't it Andrew Sellew?
It was Andrew Sellew, I think, who certainly sorted out, helped sort out the cricket match. It will be. Let's get him on again. Now's the time to speak to MPs, Pat, what with an election approaching, because they are keen to show that they're doing stuff.
And cricket season will start soon as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on it for then.
Yeah.
Well, I also know of 2 accidents that's happened. One was a car trying to avoid one of them going into him, and he actually crashed into a lamppost by avoiding one of the off-road motorcyclists. And one was last Monday, whereby an off-road motorcycle went to the side of a car, and a young lady in the car was actually traumatised by the accident, but the guy drove off.
You don't happen to know personally these people involved in these incidents, do you?
Well, not at all.
Because it would be good to talk to. Good to talk to them.
What's upsetting me about it all is the parents must know they're pulling these bikes out of their homes. The neighbours must see them being pulled out of these homes. The cameras in the high street must be picking up their faces, because some of them are not hiding their faces.
Well, Pat, I don't think it's necessarily... you say the parents. We've heard that it can often be blokes in their 30s and 40s doing it.
Well, it could be, yeah. I'm not denying that.
Pat, stay there. Jamie's called in. Morning, Jamie.
Morning.
What would you like to say?
Yeah, just calling about the trail bikes. I live in North Dunstable, and across the fields, the paths, the roads, it's like a free-for-all for all the trail bikes. It's just like living by a racetrack now. It's, you pull out of a road, and they'll be on the wrong side of the road, no helmet, sometimes 3 of them on bike. It's dangerous. Somebody's going to get wiped out, and it'll be like, oh, well, how did that happen?
Right, listen, Pat, Jamie, we've got to move on. We'll keep both your details. Pat, we've always got your details, of course. We'll keep both of their details, and we will put in a little call to Andrew Sellew, if that's all right, Catherine, and we'll kind of see what the latest is. If anybody... Pat, thank you, Pat. I mentioned 2 specific incidents there. If you saw those incidents or were involved in them, could you give us a call? 08459 455 555, and we'll have a little look and follow that up. Now, plans to use wires and poles to create a special area for Orthodox Jews are being considered in Bushey this week. It's called an Erev, and it's a symbolic space where the strict rules of the Sabbath don't have to be adhered to. Well, Rafi Kaiser-Bluth can tell us more. Rabbi at St Albans Masorti Synagogue. Rafi, why do you want to build an Erev?
Good morning, Ian. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Why do you want to build an Erev?
I'm not the one who wants to build the Erev. I don't live in Bushey, but I would say the ones who would like to build it, there's a specific set of rules that need to be adhered to on the Sabbath. And it's not that they don't have to adhere to them within the construction of the Erev. It allows certain, it changes in essence the characteristic of the public land. It makes it private. So they are able to do things such as carry in public, like push a pram for the baby. And for most people, this would seem somewhat of an arcane concept, but people who are strict adherents to tradition and to the Jewish law, it's a very important consideration, because the violation of the laws of Sabbath is not something that's to be taken trivially. It's something that actually, one goes according to the letter of the law, is a very, very serious offense.
It's kind of a grid, a square, is it? That's the circumference is made up of a thin wire hanging around.
It's actually, I would imagine, the vast majority of it is going to be based on things that are already in place, such as fences between properties that are already there. This is only going to be put in place where the boundary is interrupted. So, for example, to cross the streets. So the vast majority of this is not going to be noticed because, like I said, it's already in place. They would need to span a piece of road, so they would erect 2 poles that would be blended into the surrounding area as is already. And the string itself is 0.5 millimeter wide, and it's clear. So unless it's covered in raindrops, you wouldn't really be able to see it.
It's still quite divisive, though, literally and metaphorically, to do something like this, isn't it?
No, I don't think it's divisive at all. If you're not even aware that it's there, you won't see it. You don't know what it is, and it doesn't do anything to somebody who doesn't want to adhere to it. For example, if there are Jews or non-Jews who are living there, you might not, unless you know specifically what you're looking for, you're not going to notice that it's there. And so I would disagree completely that it's divisive. I'm still trying to figure out why it would be divisive.
Well, let's see if we can find out. Stay there, Rafi. We're joined by John Dowdall, who's chair of Watford Area Humanists. John, is it divisive?
Yes, it is.
Explain to me and Rafi.
Because it's sort of exclusivist. You could almost say, I mean, Judaism is a religion. It's not a race, obviously, but nevertheless, it has the effect of creating a kind of what's known as a shtetl or ghetto mentality amongst certain sections of the community. I'd also say this. I mean, there are devout Jews who object to this because basically, I mean, if you are saying that you have a belief in a Jewish God, and that your Jewish God is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-seeing, the idea that you're extending somebody's front living room, because that's what this idea of the Erev is, that you're extending this to a much larger area. This is actually a con job. I mean, it's like a confidence trick against your own God to get around your own God's rules.
John,
the Shabbat, with regard to Shabbat.
Tricking God to one side, it doesn't really do any harm, does it? As Rafi was saying, you wouldn't know it was there, and if you don't know, it's not going to hurt anybody, is it?
Well, again, a devout Jew would say that what they're doing is they're condemning people to hell. I mean, that's the basic upshot of all this.
Why?
Because you're breaking the rules of Shabbat. You either are an observant, pious, devout, religious Jew, or you're not.
But this excludes you from those rules. There's obviously a loophole. So, obviously, they've found a loophole, and if that's the case,
but that goes against their own religion. There's something called the 3 O's, and they are supposed to observe the rules of the Shabbat. The rules of the Shabbat say you are forbidden from certain activities on the day of Shabbat, And this is simply, a confidence trick around it.
But for a humanist to argue, John, that the people that make use of this error will be going to hell, well, you don't believe in hell. So what's your real beef with it?
Well, I don't believe in hell, but I'm saying if that's what they believe, then they're actually, duping their own followers. And the other side to it as well is this. I mean, this will change the social character of the area. It's happened everywhere else where these have been introduced. Basically, people starting to think, oh, well, that's a Jewish area, and people won't move in there. Now, in a country, I know the politicians don't get.
Where is that? Because I know there's an area. I think it's in Golders Green or near Hampstead in North London. There is. That's not changed the layout of the area, though, has it?
Well, yes. I mean, basically, if you look at a map of London now, if you look at a map of all the Arabs, there's an unbroken chain of them coming out from.
Which came first, the Arabs or the large compacted Jewish community? Because Golders Green has always had a big Jewish community, hasn't it?
Well, I'm sure you're right, but what I'm saying is, if you look at the map of London now, if you look at the map of, there's now an unbroken chain of Arabs coming out from the centre of London in a northwesterly direction, stretching right the way out to Radley. And
are you saying that corridor, the Jewish community has grown since those Arabs were built?
Oh yeah, I mean.
And what's your problem with that?
Well, my problem is this. I think what lies behind this is that it's a sort of a Zionist approach to promoting something called a liar. And basically it's designed to make the Jewish community more and more insular, more and more unnecessarily fearful of the rest of the secular society they're living within. And ultimately it's designed to try to promote these people eventually to leave this country to migrate out to Israel.
That's, John, let me just put that point to Rafi. Rafi, it's a Zionist plot.
I'll say, first of all, I'm very impressed with your knowledge of Jewish law, but I have to say you've fundamentally misunderstood several things. And I'm going to say, first of all, what Iain said, the Jewish community was already there. This is added to help them fulfill some of their obligations of observing Sabbath. Furthermore, we don't believe in hell, so I think you need to understand that point. But also, this is something that the Jews who are living here, like I said, it's not going to affect anybody else. No one's going to know that it's there. It hasn't changed fundamentally communities where these are put up. And I'm not sure what Zionism has to do with this at all in any way whatsoever. But being that all that said, the majority of people, the council has approved this. This is something that is few people would like to see. I'm still not understanding your objection to it. It's not going to change the character of the community. It's not going to force anybody to behave in a certain way. It's not going to condemn anybody to any kind of purgatory or whatever.
And Rafi, you can confirm. Sorry to move you on. You can confirm that this is not a Zionist conspiracy.
This is nothing to do with that at all. I'm not sure what that has to do with.
No. Gentlemen, I could talk longer about that, but I have to move on. I'm already late for the travel and the news, but thank you very much indeed. Of course, all of those who believe in a Zionist conspiracy will say he would say that. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Rafi Kaiser-Bluth, Rabbi at St Albans Masorti, was the last voice you heard there. And the other gentleman was John Dowdall, the chair of Watford Area Humanists. This is BBC Three Counties Radio. We're a bit late. Let's get the trav.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, starting with the A5 near Dunstable, we've just heard from a caller that there's been a big accident, so the traffic's really busy on the A5 towards Dunstable at the Thorn turning. Elsewhere on the motorways, the M1 southbound is stop-start between junction 12 for Flitwick and 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and on the M25 anti-clockwise there are queues around the M25 junction 21A roundabout at St Albans. On the M40 northbound there are queues between the Denham roundabout and the M25, and on the trains, Southern, London Midland and Virgin Trains West Coast have possible delays between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction because of a signalling problem. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. You can have your say on that last conversation. Also, pocket money. Oh, there was something else. It'll come to me after this.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
o'clock, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: workers at Bedford Hospital raise concerns about untrained staff. A drone used for smuggling is found at Bedford Prison, and a dispute over Christmas lights in Dunstable.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The BBC has learned that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained staff. NHS workers from 10 hospitals, including Bedford, say unqualified healthcare assistants are being allowed to insert needles, dress wounds and take blood. Tracy Lambert from Unison is blaming the situation on a lack of funding.
Anything that they are doing which is deemed beyond their remit is wrong, shouldn't be happening, and trusts need to acknowledge that by increasing the numbers of registered general nurses on the wards and departments, but also ensuring that healthcare assistants are properly trained.
A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by officers at Bedford Prison. It's believed it was being used to smuggle things into the jail. The parents of Aisha King, who clashed with NHS doctors, say he's now free of cancer. Brett and Nagme King were arrested in Spain after removing Aisha from hospital in Southampton last summer. But the leading cancer specialist, Professor Carol Sikora, says it doesn't mean proton beam therapy is now right for everyone.
It's not a magic ray gun, and that's the problem with everything. It's like high-cost drugs for cancer. They're not necessarily magic. The best advice I can give to anyone that's worried is talk to their consultant. I think the whole business of Aisha King is the complete failure of communication at Southampton with the parents. It should never have happened.
Plans for a designated area for Orthodox Jews are being considered in Bushey this week. The Eruv provides a symbolic space where strict Sabbath rules are relaxed. Tony Fisher has more.
The symbolic boundary consists of poles connected by wire. Inside, Orthodox Jews can do things they wouldn't otherwise be able to do on the Sabbath, like pushing buggies and carrying bags. Critics locally say an Eruv enforces a religious identity on all others living within the religious boundary, whether they share those beliefs or not. The plans are being considered tomorrow by Hertsmere Borough Council.
A family in Dunstable has received an abusive letter because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Franklin says he can't take down the decorations because he recently had a heart attack.
Due to my ill health, I don't want to risk it going up, put them up, take them down, put them up, take them down. They're not doing anybody any harm. I don't switch them on, apart from they're now going to go on in April, which is Autism Aware Month, because I have a 15-year-old autistic son, so that'll give them something to moan about.
In sport, allegations that the Stevenage captain Ronnie Henry was bitten by an opposing player on Saturday has been reported to the police. And the weather this morning, frosty at first, turning cloudy with a chance of rain by this evening. Top temperatures around 11 degrees Celsius, that's 52 degrees Fahrenheit. You can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's been sparky for a Monday. Very sparky. You've just tuned in. Oh, you missed a good one. So, pocket money. How much pocket money do you give your kids? The average is £14 a week. What? I used to get £1.25. I know that was 100 years ago, but flipping heck, 14 quid. What have you cheated at? Getting tattoos removed by the NHS. Christmas tree lights outside a house when it's not even Christmas, and more are going up. Busy, busy, busy. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is the second story I think we've had from Pat in Houghton Regis. Wasn't it Pat's wife that was virtually mauled to death by the panther? Her and his sister-in-law, I think it was.
She was the one wearing the zebra print trousers.
They barely escaped with their flesh intact as they were chased by a panther.
No, they both ran for their lives, admittedly.
Yay.
But the panther didn't get close.
We should pay Pat a salary. He's better than some of the slackers we've got here. It's a joke, team. It's a joke.
Some of the slackers are quite good.
You are all slackers, but you're good slackers. So it's House and Regis, where the story we've covered before about motorbikes, off-road bikes, causing mayhem. You may remember they were invading the cricket pitch. Well, that got stopped and sorted. But they're still riding on the roads, riding on the pavements, riding on the parks.
And a lot of the parents feel it's just a bit of cheeky fun.
Yeah, terrorising people. Well, we've got loads of calls on this. Tracy's on the line. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning.
What have you seen?
What I've seen, I've experienced it firsthand, actually, with my daughter. This motocross, dirt bike, whatever you like to call them, actually drove into her last week.
Oh, this is your daughter's the young lady that Pat was talking about.
It is indeed, yes.
What happened, Tracy?
She was coming out of Morrison's car park last week on her way to uni. This guy come at speed straight over the roundabout, just literally straight into her. He actually landed on her bonnet.
Oh, no.
Yes.
How old is your daughter?
She's 20.
20, OK. I only asked that because that would be terrifying to anybody of any age. But 20, when you've only been driving for a short time, that must have been awful for her.
She was absolutely devastated. She was absolutely a wreck when my husband got to her. We only lived round the corner. She phoned us up, so my husband went straight down. She was a quivering wreck. She couldn't get the door open. Somebody from the public had to help her get the door open so she could actually get out of her car.
Because it had been smashed in so much?
Because it had moved the wing, which had moved the hinge, so she couldn't get out. There's some work to do on her car, but unfortunately we're in a catch-22 because the guy drove off doing a wheelie up the road. Got back off the bonnet, got on his bike, went up the road. She'll lose her no claims bonus, which will then send her insurance through the roof.
Well, I imagine a 20-year-old, her insurance isn't going to be cheap anyway.
No, it's not. And, you know, it's something she's then going to have to pay out of her savings to get her own car repaired.
So the fella he landed on her bonnet?
He landed on her bonnet, on her windscreen, got off, swore, said, got back on it, picked his bike up and got on it and done a wheelie up the road.
Oh, you little so-and-so. You cheeky little so-and-so.
And the best bit about it is Louise plays football, ladies football for a local team as well.
Yeah.
So we went off to hospital. We phoned the police. They said to go to the local station, which we did do, and it was shut. So we then ended up at Dunstable. They took a statement but said, don't hold out much hope. Went to the hospital because she's got whiplash and she's hurt all her shoulder and down the side of her back. And she can't play football. Well, she can't play football, she's in pain, so she went along to watch her football team at the weekend, and the same guy actually rung amok across the football pitch in Houghton Regis on the same bike.
How does she know it was the same fella?
Because she saw him, he was on the windscreen. She remembered...
I'm so sorry, Tracy. I suppose she had a very close look at him, didn't she?
Yes.
So he wasn't wearing a helmet or anything?
No helmet.
And he went. Sorry. So on Saturday, she goes to the football match, and he's riding on Sunday, and he's riding across the pitch.
There's three of them. Yeah, there are three local lads, and they run amok across the football pitch. She got it on her phone, and the football coach took some pictures of him, so we could sort of zoom in, but you can't really see his face clear enough.
Tracy, I would love it if you could send us that footage and those photos.
Yeah, I'll try, yeah.
Would you, if it's on her phone, email it to Iain. We'll get Iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. Well, I'll make sure Catherine gives you the email address before we let you go.
Okay.
We would love to have a look at that, and let's see if we can find the little so-and-so.
Yeah.
How is she? Obviously, she's physically hurt. I imagine she's going to be a bit in shock for a while, isn't she, as well?
Yes, yeah, she was. She sort of plodded on, and she insisted on going back to work on Thursday. But she ended up leaving work early to go back to the hospital because she couldn't stand the pain any longer. To get some painkillers. They've been very good at work, and she's just reluctant to get back in the car again. Although we're having to try and push her because
she needs to get in as soon as possible.
She needs to get back in it. Yeah.
The longer it goes on, the worse it's going to be. The first few journeys will be pretty nerve-wracking, but she'll get it.
And we've actually seen the guys drive up our road because our road is a cut through to the fields at the back. So we phoned the police about 3 times yesterday to try and catch them, but they've got to be in the right place at the right time.
Tracy, stay on the line. I'm going to put you back through to Catherine, and send us that video. And I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but if we can, we'll put it on the Facebook page and we'll tweet it. Catherine, just make sure she's got an email address, and we've got her email address and her phone number. And I wish your daughter the very best of luck. It's funny, isn't it? How did she recognise it? Well, his face was really close to her. Yeah, I suppose so. Having an experience like that as a 41-year-old man would scare the life out of me. But to a 20-year-old, when you've only been driving a year, 18 months... Oh, man. Thank you, Tracy. We'll follow this up. David's in High Wycombe. Morning, David.
Good morning. I spoke to you a few weeks ago about this, Ian.
Oh, yeah, go on.
We was out racing all weekend with my 2 young kids at the local track where we're members, and I sold 2 bikes recently, two young guys, one in Reading and one in Slough, and they were going to ride them in the woods, in the fields. I said to him, why don't you join a local club? And he got no interest. It takes time and money to transport the bike to a club, joining the club, race fee for the club on the day, and it's too expensive for them. So maybe the council could help. There's a lot of land around that doesn't ever seem to get built upon. I'm sure the council could help somewhere to get these kids off, and some of them are probably quite good riders, probably could make a career out of it. But
so you sold a couple of bikes to some dodge pots that were going to use it for naughty things?
Yeah, so one of them said. The other one didn't say anything, but from the looks of them, I could imagine they weren't going to go to the local motocross track.
Do you not have a responsibility selling these bikes to not sell them to idiots?
No. Could you vet someone that you sell a car to? If he doesn't want to have tax and insurance on it, you couldn't, could you? So it's not my responsibility, no.
Oh, you just reminded me my tax ran out at the end of February. Thank you. I've got to do that to add a warning letter. Thank you. I suppose not.
So it's not mine, I don't think.
You don't think it's yours at all? I mean, I don't know. I'm not judging you in the slightest, David. I'm just trying to think it out loud.
I just think it'd be nice if the council would help. They put BMX tracks in because loads of kids like BMXs and skateboards now, and there is just so much land, and there is a lot of kids that like riding bikes. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do because it's not. I would never do it, and I did do it occasionally.
Yeah.
And we got caught a couple of times, and when they said they were going to impound the bike and take it, that's just not what I wanted. So we then joined a club, and I got my 2 youngsters into it that way, which is fantastic. But it does all cost money, and there's not a lot of money around for these young kids to pay out for all of this, So David, I can see why they do it.
I appreciate your call. Thank you. I'm not having a go at David there. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Does he have a responsibility to sell it responsibly? I mean, I don't know. He's right. You sell a car to someone, you don't know if they're going to go off and use it as a getaway car or something. I don't know. Oh, wait, Phil, thank you, Pat, for getting in touch half an hour ago, because I think we've sparked something off here, and we'll see about getting that video. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the A5 towards Dunstable, there's been an accident at the Thorn turning. John called to say that there's been a 5-car pile-up there and the traffic's really bad. We've also heard from Mia saying it's really busy there too. In Lily, on the A505 westbound, there's a lane blocked by a breakdown between Lily Bottom and Mount Grace Road, and that's on the turning, so it's causing a few problems. And in Radlett on the Watling Street, that's blocked in both directions by a bus fire between Park Road and the Drive. The emergency services are there at the moment. On the motorways, the M25 anti-clockwise has long queues between junction 21A for St Albans and 14 for Heathrow Terminal 4, and the M1 southbound is stop-start between junction 12 for Flitwick and 7 for Hemel Hempstead. Having a look at the train departure boards, London Midland, Southern and Virgin Trains West Coast are all reporting possible delays because of a signalling problem. That's between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 8:16. It is Monday the 23rd of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The health union Unison says staff at Bedford Hospital are right to be concerned about unqualified assistants carrying out medical procedures. Officers at Bedford Prison have discovered a remote-controlled drone carrying a package over the wall. And after complaints from his neighbours, a man from Dunstable is denying he's too lazy to take down his Christmas lights.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Vernon Smith.
Good morning.
You've got a jacket on.
Yeah, it's a bit cold.
No, it's not.
OK, I'm going to get bacon sandwiches straight after this.
Oh, that is very... Hey, Kels, Catherine, JVS is going to get us bacon sandwiches, he just said.
Are you?
Straight after this, he just said he's going to go and get bacon sandwiches.
I don't really like bacon sandwiches anymore.
Do you want a sausage roll? Roll in a bap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kels?
Bacon's fine.
I'll have... do you know what? Can I get a fried egg roll, please? That'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Javes.
It's not quite...
Thank you, mate.
Appreciate it.
But much appreciate. Muchos apreciatos, I think they say in Mexico. So, thank you. That's very kind. Do you want any money? No, that is very, very kind of you. Thank you very much. You just made the hands patting down gesture. Say, no, I'll get this. So thank you, mate. Beautiful. Great start to the day. What's on your show this morning? Keep it quick, because we're all a bit peckish here.
On the big phone in this morning, I love the Christmas light story. It won't surprise you to learn that. You knew I'd love this, didn't you?
Yes.
I love it. Coming up at 9 this morning, should the Franklins take their Christmas lights down? As we've been hearing this morning, a family in Dunstable have received an anonymous letter calling them pikeys because they still have their Christmas lights up. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and a heart attack, and he says he's unable to take down the decorations, but we've also learnt he didn't actually put them up in the first place. A friend did. And his wife says they may even now put up more lights because of all this. The pictures of the Franklins' council house have been shared on our Facebook page tens of thousands of times. Well, from 9 this morning, I would love your reaction to this. Should the Franklins take their Christmas lights down? 08459 455 555.
Oh, we spoke to Kevin, and yeah, his friend is going to put more lights up in April.
I know. Just to... antagonise
the Facebook page is misleading. We now have a clearer picture of the story, and there's 116 comments on there. The majority of them saying, "Oh, leave him alone. He's not well." Well, that's because it's worded. Kevin Franklin recently had a stroke and a heart attack, which means he's unable to take down the decorations. Turns out the health aspect of it is nothing to do with the story. Because you say he had the stroke in November, the lights were put up after that by a friend.
By a friend.
Yeah.
So the friend could take them down.
He wants to keep them up so he doesn't have to put them up again next year.
Well, maybe there's some logic in that. From 9 this morning, I'd love your reaction. Should the Franklins take their Christmas lights down? 08459 455 555.
In football, most things can change.
Luton Town have confirmed that their Kenilworth Road ground is to be renamed. But one thing that doesn't is our coverage of your local team.
Tomorrow night, we're at the Prostate Cancer UK Stadium.
Where?
Kenilworth Road to you and me as Luton take on Wickham.
And now a chance for Lawless!
We'll have all the build-up and then full commentary on another important game at the top of the table.
Fred gets up, well headed, goal! Wickham back in the... What on the with his second goal, completely unmarked.
Luton versus Wickham in Three Counties Sport.
Tomorrow night from 7, here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, more of your calls in a bit, by the way. We're getting loads of calls about, I think predominantly about the motorbikes, are we?
Yeah, we're getting that. Loads of near misses. One instance where a guy had the motorbike drive past him on the pavement and pointed to a police car to say, "Are you going to sort these guys out?" And apparently they ignored it.
Well, we need to send Justin down there either today or tomorrow, don't we?
We need to work out when they're doing it the most. That's the problem.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll read those texts and get those phone calls in a second. But before, the BBC has learnt that medical procedures are being carried out in hospitals and care homes by untrained and unqualified staff. As part of a special investigation, NHS workers from 10 hospitals in the region, including Bedford, have contacted the BBC voicing their concerns. NHS staff say that healthcare assistants are being left to insert needles, dress wounds and take blood without being properly trained. Well, Jan Hansen set up the Cure the NHS in Bedfordshire following the death of his mum at Bedford Hospital, which he says fell at the hands of untrained assistants. Jan, what happened in the case of your mother?
Morning, Ian.
Morning.
Well, yeah, she was basically taken into Bedford Hospital in December 2008. Her stay there was over a 13-week period, and I began logging right from day one, actually, because the first time I visited, I noticed serious mistakes with the care, and it boiled down to forgetting to feed my late mother. And I noticed over this 13-week period, one thing after the other, and as I have it all on record, and when I look at these records, I can't believe how many mistakes were made. And what I realised after a very short time was there seemed to be a very serious lack of management on that ward. And it seems, the information I'm getting, that this situation is still there. The wards are being very poorly managed. A lot of the chores or very important jobs are being left at the hands of healthcare assistants, and they are under so much pressure because they feel as though they haven't been properly trained. So the whole thing is, well, in a serious state at the moment, and I don't know if this new care certificate that they're bringing in April is going to make an awful lot of difference if the management standards are not going to be raised to a much higher standard.
Bedford Hospital, in your instance, say that they have improved things since the sad case of your mother, and that they're happy to show you how things have improved. I'm guessing when you hear a story like this, you're not totally convinced by that.
Well, sadly, just over 2 years ago, my late brother, he was rushed into Bedford Hospital, exactly the same ward, actually. And I was shocked to see, despite being assured that lessons had been learned in 2009, I saw the same standards of care in that ward. And luckily he was taken to, well, he left the hospital, but then he was rushed into hospital again, ended up in Addenbrooke's, and the care was unbelievably so much better. That's when I realised, my God, it's a lottery. And unfortunately in Bedford, the information I'm getting is that, we're right at the bottom of the table when it comes to standards for healthcare.
Yeah, what needs to be done? Is it simply a case of throwing more money at it?
I think no. I think to be honest, obviously I haven't got the full set of accounts of the NHS, but they're throwing an awful lot of money at it. To me, I think one of the main things they have to bring in urgently is a total duty of candour across the whole of the healthcare system, so that people who work within the system are completely accountable for their actions. And what I've found, that most of the people I'm speaking to that work within the system, they haven't got a problem with that, because then everybody knows exactly where they stand within the system.
Jan, always good to talk to you. I'm sorry that, the thing that connects us is the sad loss of your mum, but I appreciate your time. Jan Hansen, who set up Cure the NHS in Bedfordshire.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
More and more of your calls coming in about the dirt bikes in Houghton Regis. We'll get to those maybe after 8:30, I think. But before that, police are investigating what may have been an attempt to use a miniature aircraft to smuggle contraband into Bedford Prison. According to the prison service, guards intercepted a package on the 6th of March. In a statement, they warned that any prisoner caught or suspected of being involved faces prosecution and a further sentence, closed visits up to 42 days added to their time in prison, and a good sound thrashing. I made that last one up. Local shopkeeper Firat Erdogan believes he saw what happened that day. Morning, Firat.
Morning.
How close are you to the prison, and what did you see?
Well, my shop is just behind the Bedford prison, and what it is, I went outside my shop just to look around, and I saw two men, what seemed to be like one of those remote control drones, and one of them seemed to be looking at like a monitor. One was, I think, controlling it. This was just outside behind the Bedford prison in the middle of the road, like in the middle of the traffic lights.
And that must have struck you as quite odd, although these drones are becoming more and more common, aren't they?
They are becoming more and more common. I'm myself into a bit of RC flying aeroplanes and helicopters.
I beg your pardon?
What I found... I'm into flying remote control airplanes.
RC. I thought you were being rude. I'm so sorry. I thought you just did it with an attitude. Right, okay. Remote control, yes.
No, and what I found strange was where they were flying it. It was in the middle of a busy road. You wouldn't expect to see something like that there. You'd probably see something like that in the Upland Field or something.
Yeah. And it just looked like a normal drone. Did it look like it was? There was a package underneath it containing, I don't know, what would they be sending over? Drugs, a phone, a gun? I don't know.
At the time when I saw it, I don't think there was anything on it. Well, I think it looked like they were testing it, to be fair. At the time when I did see it, it looked like they were testing it, because what they did is they literally went up, they put it on the ground, they took off with it, they went all the way up quite high, they brought it down again, and then went up again, and I found that strange as well. They won't seem to be flying it. It seemed like they were testing something.
Why are you into this RC flying, Firat? What's the buzz?
I think it's the idea of a miniature flying object where, to be a pilot is a more of a, high-skilled, expensive situation, where this is it's like your childhood dream of flying a plane, I guess. It's just you enjoy it.
How high can you try? How far up do these things go?
I think they can go up to as much as 500 feet. Some are, yes, and there are models that are more professional, that are used for filming. They can go up even higher.
I was going to say, do you attach a camera to yours?
Yes, most drones or helicopters or airplanes, you can attach cameras to it, and you can remotely view the live whilst you're flying it.
Wow.
Yes.
It does. Firat, listen, I appreciate your telling us about the prison incident and also your expertise on drones. I've often looked at these drones because you get these rubbish little flying helicopter things that fly around the house and they just keep getting bashed up. They're rubbish. But a drone, because I always wanted to model aeroplane as a kid and it was never allowed one because they are way too expensive and rubbish because you've got to take them off and land them.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just up and down, isn't it?
I know, and I quite fancy one as well, but I was rubbish with the scale extric, so I think I'll probably lose it on day one.
You're adding a third dimension.
Yeah.
Or is it a fourth dimension? Let's say it's the fifth. You're adding a fifth dimension to it, which is just going to be absolutely terrifying. 81333 is the text number. Start your text 3CR. You can give us a call, 08459 455 555. We'll hear from Dealey in a bit. We're also talking tattoo removal, pocket money to the kids. £14 a week is the average. Flippin' heck. And also dirt bikes in Houghton Regis.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Milton Keynes, Standing Way has been partially blocked by an accident between the Bleak Hall roundabout and the Coffee Hall roundabout, and that's causing queues from Exmoor Gate. In Tilsworth, the A5 southbound is blocked by an accident involving a car, a van and a lorry between Dunstable Road and Thorne Road. Lots of callers calling to say that it's really busy there. In Lily, on the A505 westbound, there's a lane blocked between Lily Bottom and Mount Grace Road because of a breakdown. And in Radlett, on the Watling Street, that's been blocked by a bus fire between Park Road and the Drive, and the emergency services are there, so that's causing delays. On the motorways, the M25 anti-clockwise has long delays between junction 21A for St Albans and 14 for Heathrow Terminal 4. And on the trains, London Midlands, Southern and Virgin Trains West Coast have delays between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction because of a signalling problem. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Past 8, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines. The health union Unison says staff at Bedford Hospital are right to be concerned about unqualified assistants carrying out medical procedures. Workers at 10 hospitals have told the BBC they're carrying out tasks they're not trained to do. A remote-controlled drone carrying a package has been found by staff at Bedford Prison. It's believed it was being used to smuggle things into the jail. And a man from Dunstable is denying he's too lazy to take down his Christmas lights. Kevin Franklin has received an abusive letter about his display from an anonymous neighbour. The weather this morning, frosty at first, turning cloudy with the chance of rain by this evening. Top temperatures around 11 degrees Celsius, 52 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Stevenage manager Graham Wesley says an incident involving his skipper Ronnie Henry and Dagenham's Josh Labadie on Saturday is now a police matter. Labadie's been accused of biting Henry during the Daggers win over the Borough in League Two.
You don't go on a football pitch expecting to lose your finger, and Ronnie was horrified by what had gone on. It's a football match, and he's nearly lost his finger. That's, I think, what led to the scene at the end when there was some, clearly some nastiness going on.
Watford lost top spot in the Championship as they were beaten 1-0 by Ipswich. MK Dons are now 4 points from an automatic promotion position in League One after their win against Notts County. Chelsea have gone 6 points clear at the top of the Premiership table. Meanwhile, Brendan Rodgers has refused to criticise Steven Gerrard despite being sent off just 38 seconds after coming on the pitch for Liverpool.
He's a wonderful captain, and he's come on and hoping that he could influence the game. Probably not the way he would have liked it to be. But as I said, the players continued to fight to get something from the game, and as the man that Stephen is, he's apologised, and now we'll move on.
In tennis, Novak Djokovic won his 50th title with a 3-set win over Roger Federer in California. The world number one says he's worked extremely hard to get where he is today.
I don't think anything has been handed to me. I had to earn it, I had to fight for it, and I thought that the hard work that I've done in the off-season, all the of course, commitment to an everyday routine that I have with my team has paid off with these results. And as I said, it's a great start of the season, and hopefully I can use this confidence for the rest of the season.
And that's BBC Three Counties News and Sport. We've more at 9 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Busy show. What have we talked? Well, no one's called in about the pocket money, so we can put that to one side. We can rest that.
No pocket money for any of you today.
Naughty. You've not done your chores. What have we been talking about?
Tattoos, and whether the NHS should be spending money on removing them. It doesn't do them as a matter of course, but the Daily Mail's got a story in saying that they've spent thousands.
Must be true!
In certain cases where it's adversely affected people's lives.
Dealey's taking that to the streets. We'll speak to him in a little bit. Mm-hmm. What else we had?
Bikes in Houghton.
Oh, yeah, bikes in Houghton Regis. The phones have gone bonkers. We've covered this story before. You may remember that there were off-road bikes were kind of riding all over the place and interrupting cricket matches and things like that.
Nicking the stumps on one.
Nicking the stumps.
One day.
Nicking the stumps. Aye, bit like bit chummy. And we spoke to the local MP, Andrew Selous, and that problem seemed to have got sorted out. But
then again, the cricket's off at the moment, so how do we know it's sorted?
Well, it got sorted. It was last August, I seem to remember. So we'll find out if that continues. But we're hearing more and more stories, thanks to Pat, who called in, of just idiots riding to abreast on the road, popping wheelies, riding on the pavement, riding on the parks. We spoke to, I forgot the mother of the name, was it Tracy?
Tracy, yeah.
So to Tracy, whose young daughter was driving a car. The fella went smack into the side of the car, busted up the wing, landed on the bonnet of the car, got up, got on the bike, popped a wheelie and rode off. And then a few days later, she went to see her local women's football team that she can't play for anymore because she's too injured. Same fella and his mates were riding across the pitch. We need to get Mr. Selous on. We also need to send Justin there at some point. Have we got any texts on this, or shall I go straight to the...
We've got loads, but I tell you what, you do these first and then I'll have some texts.
Adrian's on the line. Morning, Adrian.
Morning, Ian.
What you got for us?
At the roundabout in Houghton Regis the other day, this child, I use the way to put it, because can't have been a man, no other decency, goes around the wrong way around the roundabout. Thankfully, I knew his car and I was able to not hit him. As a motorist, if I'd have hit him, I'd have been responsible. And if I killed him, I couldn't have lived myself. Now, the other thing, your previous one was saying that he didn't feel as though he got responsibility for selling the bike. A bike has a VIN plate, it's legal, and therefore has to be registered to somebody. If it doesn't, it's illegal and therefore should be crushed. These people will injure somebody severely, whether it be an old person, a young kid, or even you walking out of your new studios in Dunstable. They're dangerous. Somebody will have a major accident.
Hey, Adrian, thank you very much indeed. We've already heard about one accident. Luckily, no one was killed, but, a young woman shocked physically and messed up. It's interesting. We were speaking to, I think it was David earlier on, who sold a couple of bikes to a couple of people, one of whom said maybe they were joking that they weren't going to, ride in the normal place. They were just going to ride it on the pavement and stuff. Did he have a responsibility when it came to selling that? 08459 455 555. Caroline's on the line. Good morning, Caroline.
Morning.
What would you like to say?
I live a few doors down from one of the guys that rides one of these bikes.
Oh.
And my husband and I have complained so many times to the police. We've phoned them up, we've said they're on the bikes, we've said where they're going, and they do nothing. Absolutely nothing every time.
I don't really know the rules of these bikes, so you can only ride these bikes.
The bike that I can see from my house doesn't have a number plate.
Okay.
So
that can only
and
be
it also has an illegal exhaust as well, so it's really, really loud.
Oh, one of those.
You can't miss it.
And so, just to clarify, because I don't know a lot about these, Catherine, I'm sure you do, that you can only ride these bikes on off-road tracks. That's the only legal place you can ride these. You can't ride them on roads. You have to take them, you have to drive them to dirt tracks and ride them there.
That's my understanding. I don't know.
If there isn't any experts out there that can fill me in. So you've called the police and they're doing nothing?
No, nothing at all. They ride around the estate, they ride up and down the A5, they don't have helmets, they don't wear, they wear fairly dark-coloured hoodies, so you can't see them. I mean, when it was darker in the evenings, I was driving back along the A5, and one of the guys just overtook me on the outside, and it's a dark-coloured bike. He's got dark clothes on, there's no lights, no number plate, nothing. He's so lucky he hasn't been killed. I mean, it's...
How old is he?
If he doesn't have an accident.
How old is he, Caroline?
30, 20, late 20s, 30. He lives... he lives in a house with his girlfriend. He's not a kid. And the other 3 who live locally as well, they're all... they're adults. They're not... and they live in the house on their own. It's their house. It's not... They don't live with parents. So they're not kids. And, we've given addresses out to the police. We've said where they are, where they keep the bikes, and they do nothing. And, it's like, what more can you do?
Caroline, thank you very much.
Do you want a text?
We should go round there.
We need to film them.
We should go round to his house.
Let's have a word with Caroline after.
We should go round to his house. Not, to cause any trouble. Knock on the door and say, hello, mate. What's going on? What are you doing? What are the rules on that for here at the BBC?
There are some rules.
Well, let's post them a letter then. There's no rules against posting it. Are there rules against posting a letter at the BBC? The BBC, you can write letters willy-nilly. Let's write them a letter with our email address on, my email address on, your email address on.
Hang on a minute.
My email address. Let's write them a letter. Let's get the address from Caroline and send them a letter.
All right.
Do you want to talk to her now and I'll speak to John, or...?
Kelly can get her, and I just want to read you this.
Kelly, talk to Caroline, get her address, and we'll speak to her off air. Yes, go on then.
Hi, morning crew. There's a gang of motocross riders that blast up and down the busway, the Luton to Dunstable busway. This is according to bus driver Jay. Frightening joggers and people walking on the paths. The bikers don't wear crash helmets, and there's loads of cameras along there, but nothing is ever done about it. Now we need to speak to Arriva.
Oh, blimey. OK.
OK, so we've got an offer here from a parking officer in the area. Give us the reg of the bike. I'll keep an eye out for it and call the police if I see it.
Well, they don't have regs. That seems to be the problem.
And this from Phil. I live in the Parkside estate, Houghton Regis. Last year, I had 3 meetings with the council about nuisance bikers. Nothing was done. All they do is pay lip service. The bikers are at it every day. In the summer, they go on till 11 o'clock at night. The police do nothing. Just register a complaint. That's it. As usual, they wait for someone to get hurt or worse. Please keep my details. I would very much like to speak to the MP. Can you just, if you are in Houghton Regis and you are experiencing this all the time, just give us a rough time of when it might be a good time to come along there with, I don't know, cameras?
Well, yes. John's in Dunstable. Morning, John.
Good morning.
What have you got for us, John?
Well, basically, I mean, to carry on from what you're talking about, the lady before you said some of these are adults, but a lot of them are teenagers. They're teenagers. They're riding 2 and 3 up on these scrambled bikes, and they're riding across the road, down the pathways, and this has been broad daylight. This is in broad daylight as well as in the evening. It goes on and on and on. As I say, on one occasion, I was driving down Windsor Drive, which is in Houghton Regis, and on the pathway coming towards me was this motorcycle or scrambled bike, no number plates, no crash helmet, nothing, with 2 up on it, going down a pathway where there was women with pushchairs, and behind me was a police transit van with 2 officers in it. I deliberately slowed down and pointed to this motorcyclist coming down the road. They drove straight past him, didn't do anything. They weren't on an emergency call. They drove straight round to the Nisa shop in Parkside and parked up there. And I thought, well, that sums it up. The Bedfordshire Police have also got a site on Facebook. I actually put it on there. I've had no response from the police whatsoever.
So the police, John, sorry to interrupt. The police saw these people on bikes and they didn't do anything.
Exactly. I deliberately slowed down to make the police vehicle slow down behind me.
I suppose. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. What could they have done? Because if they'd have got out or tried to follow them in their car, then the bikes would have just peeled off, wouldn't they?
Exactly. But I mean, this is an ongoing problem. It's not a new problem. I mean, the Bedfordshire Police actually had police on scramble bikes at one time, following them and catching them. But now, I mean, the police are treated with apathy now. They don't even bother, as someone else has said. You can phone up the police. The police in Houghton Regis are endangered species. You can't. They are so undercover you can't see them. Right? If you phone up the police, as the person says, they haven't got the facilities, whatever. But I noticed that the Luton Borough Council have increased the council tax already, although it's not been voted on, for the police. I suggest instead of contacting Mr. The MP, contact Mr. Martins and ask him what he's doing about it, because he's the so-called head of the police force, not the MP. But nothing's being done about it.
Well, he's not. You want to speak to Colette. That's the head of the police force.
Well, then let's. Okay. Well, John, listen. I appreciate your call. Thank you. And what we need to do is we need to get all of these little bits and pieces. John telling us about the police seeing the cars and doing nothing, and all of this. And then get a nice little package, and we play it to Andrew Salute, the MP, and we play it to Colette Paul as well. I'm sure Colette will come. Colette wouldn't want to not come on and discuss this, I'm sure, and let the people that she represents let them know exactly what she's doing to make sure that this is stopped.
Yeah.
Because it's unfair to come on and say that the police in Houghton Regis are an endangered species. I can't believe that's true for a second, John. So we'll let Colette come on and tell us what she's doing to make sure that isn't the case. John, thank you very much. Let me go to Graham, and we'll do some texts in a bit, because we've got loads as well. Graham.
Yeah.
Graham in Dunstable, what have you got for us?
Well, it's everywhere. I mean, where they go over the chalk pits between Dunstable and Houghton Regis, right? And I was talking to one of the rangers over there only a week yesterday. I was talking to him, and he said one of his rangers, one of the female rangers, was set about. They actually assaulted her for telling them about riding over there, because they're not allowed to.
Oh, what? So she had a word with them, said, "Oi, lads, stop it," and they gave her grief.
Yeah, serious. And I mean, because it's patrolled by rangers, because it's like a nature reserve. Yeah. It's there's sort of orchids and things like that, and they actually set about her.
When you say set about her, did they give her a tongue lashing, or were there fisticuffs?
Oh no, I'm talking about fisticuffs.
Oh blimey.
It's just getting out of hand. I mean, they drive up and down my road, as if they haven't got a care in the world, and it doesn't really matter what side of the road they're on, and if they're not on the road, they're on the.
Graham, listen, I'm gonna let you go, because I've got to do some business this end. But thank you very much indeed. We'll definitely pursue this. If you know any more about this, 08459 455 555. You can send us a text as well if you want, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or if you're a little bit nervous about coming on, then you can send me an email, ian.lee, IAIN.LEE at bbc.co.uk. It's Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Milton Keynes, the A421 is partially blocked between the Bleak Hall roundabout and the Coffee Hall roundabout. It's causing delays from Exmoor Gate, and that's because of an accident. In Tilsworth, the A5 southbound is blocked by an accident between a lorry, a car and a van at Dunstable Road, and that's at the turning for Thorn Road, so heading towards Dunstable there are long delays. In Lily, on the A505 westbound, there's a lane blocked between Lily Bottom and Mount Grace Road, and in Radlett on the High Street, at the Watling Street, that's been blocked in both directions by a bus fire between Park Road and the Drive. On the motorways, the M25 anti-clockwise has severe delays between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 40 for Heathrow Terminal 4, and it's slow on the A1M southbound between junction 8 for Hitchin and 7 for Stevenage. On the trains, London Midland are reporting 10 and 15-minute delays between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction because of a signalling problem, also affecting Southern and Virgin Trains West Coast. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 8:45, Monday the 23rd of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The health union Unison says staff at Bedford Hospital are right to be concerned about unqualified assistants carrying out medical procedures. Officers at Bedford Prison have discovered a remote-controlled drone carrying a package over the wall. And after complaints from his neighbours, a man from Dunstable is denying he's too lazy to take down his Christmas lights. We'll get to Justin in a bit. Before that, here's the weather with Sarah.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, we had some earlier bits and pieces of cloud around, but largely the bulk of that has cleared away now, and we've got some sunshine across the three counties. We'll hang on to it through the rest of the morning into the early part of the afternoon, but then we've got a weather front moving towards us from the northwest, and that's going to introduce cloud. As we go through the evening, some light and patchy rain to come through. It's trying to pull off towards the southeast. It's pretty slow and it's invigorating all the time, but generally gone by breakfast tomorrow morning. We'll still keep some cloud to start the day tomorrow, and then the weather front's going to hang out towards the east. It won't affect us with any rain, but we'll keep a hang back of cloud for a bit of the middle part of the day tomorrow, and then some showers to come in. But the crucial thing is that tomorrow will be colder than today, whereas today we're going to get temperatures up into double figures at around 10 Celsius typically this afternoon. Tomorrow the temperatures are going to be around 7 degrees with the risk of some showers in the afternoon. It'll be drier and brighter after a misty or foggy start on Wednesday morning through the day on Wednesday, but top temperature of just 7 Celsius, and then turning a little bit milder towards the end of the week, but it'll also be quite unsettled with quite a bit of cloud and some rain too.
Yeah, nice.
Every weekday morning.
Coming up at 9 on the big phone in this morning, is it a good idea to make jobless teenagers work for their benefits? How would you like this country to stand up to President Putin? Are you surprised to see British people being blatantly racist?
The JVS Show.
I think we've got to get over this issue about racism doesn't exist. It has existed. It will probably carry on existing.
What I wanted to say is they've got this completely the wrong way around. You know, that is also true. That is also true.
You will always get some, but they are such a minority.
I think the man's a buffoon. Get him up, get him out of bed, give him a sense of purpose.
The JVS Show.
Do you think we have got to, as a country, start taking this issue more seriously?
Every weekday morning on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Catherine, give us some texts, please. I know we've had loads, and we'll Mungo, Andrew, Dealey, stay there. I will come to you very, very shortly. I just want to squeeze in a few texts.
OK, this one from Johnny in Bedford.
Morning, Johnny.
I was overtaken by at least 10 of these idiots on bikes about a month ago. They were pulling wheelies as they went by me and also went straight over roundabouts with complete disregard for anyone else's safety on the road. That's from Johnny in Bedford. Also a comment about bringing the area down. You know, we were talking earlier on about the guy in Dunstable who
the Christmas tree lights, yes.
Yeah.
The house lights, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
and when we were talking about whether you have a responsibility to your neighbours to keep the outside of your house clear and clean. Marie says, obviously Christmas is more controversial than a war memorial. It's funny to see the difference in opinion in people decorating their council houses. Maybe if this man who's defending his Christmas lights was as sweet as the lady who painted poppies on her fence, the Labours would be more forgiving.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, story we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
There was... yes, OK, yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah. You remember that story?
I do remember it, yeah.
Mark in Bedford. My mate who lives at the end of my road left a fridge on his drive for about 3 weeks. I got my 6-year-old to make a poster with his paint saying, "Nice fridge, Kevin." His name is Kev. The fridge went in the next 3 days.
Public shaming. On the subject of these motorbikes, Andrew's in Letchworth. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning, Ian. How are we?
Up and down, up and down. What you got for us?
OK, look, in relation to the bikes, I mean, I've got a friend that's a police officer. We were moaning about the politically correct situation in the world, and we talked about this subject, and he said that the problem is if they don't have a helmet on, the police can't give chase in any way, shape or form, because if they fall off, it would be deemed that they fell off because the police were chasing.
No, really?
Well, this is how crazy the world is, isn't it?
Well, I'm not... Well, listen, I'll take you at your word, Andrew, but I'm not convinced I believe that. If a criminal... Hang on a minute. What if I have just robbed a bank? I've got £1 million in my bag. I jump on my motorbike, but I don't put my helmet on. They can't chase me.
All they can do is sit way back and wait for you to come off.
All right, I've murdered Catherine, and boy, oh boy, do I think about that too much. I've murdered Catherine in the cold light of day. I jump on my motorbike and I toss my helmet askance. I've gone crazy, Andrew. The police can't chase me.
You've murdered someone, so therefore the right to catch you, it changes to a different category, doesn't it?
I've got one.
People, as far as the police are concerned, it's a misdemeanor, isn't it? It's nothing too major.
All right.
Therefore they can't use that much force.
Here's this one. I've given Iain Lee a wicked Chinese burn, and I mean one of those ones that really makes you cry, OK? But I'm holding some scissors, and I'm holding them the wrong way. It's probably quite dangerous. If I'm legging it around with the scissors, I might come a cropper on them. The police can't touch me, can they?
Andrew, well, I think Catherine maybe is mocking slightly. We'll put that to a copper.
There's like a pair of scissors in here now.
I have I've given Catherine Boyle a dead arm, and I'm running away from the scene, but I'm sucking on a lollipop. I'm not using my hands. It's just in my mouth, and I'm running. They can't chase me, because if I fall over, that's going to go right in the back of my throat.
I've got another one.
You go on.
All right, I've given you a purple nurple. And run.
I don't know what a purple nurple is.
I'll
Justin?
show you later on.
I've got no idea, but it sounds interesting.
It sounds fun, huh?
I'm running away, but I'm also chewing gum. If I swallow that, that's going to stick to my ribs.
Yep.
No
Okay.
one can touch me.
Here's the thing, right? I have given Justin Dealey a noogie. Okay. Now, I'm running away from the scene of the crime. Should be an easy catch, but it's not. I'm eating an apple.
Oh.
I'm eating an apple. It's got loads of pips in it as well. If I swallow one of those pips and the police catch me and I go to prison, at some point in my prison sentence, Justin, I'm going to sprout an apple tree.
Yeah, true.
Guys, we're in the wrong job. We should be arch criminals.
Dealey, stay there. I want to speak to Mungo. Morning, Mungo.
Morning.
Morning, Mungo. You're on a narrow boat. How narrow is that boat?
It's about as narrow as my mind.
Gosh. So it's infinite. What would you like to say, Mungo?
I just think the answer to this antisocial behaviour with these bikers and anything really is to put them in orange dungarees and get them cleaning up hedgerows and people's gardens, and then make them pay a debt back to society for being such toe rags. And they can be caught. I'm sure these people have got neighbours who see them leaving the house on these manky old scooters and trials bikes. One phone call, and a community police officer can wait there.
Well, but Mungo, we spoke to one lady who does live next door to one of these idiots, and she's called the police, and the police have done nothing.
Well, that tells you that the police aren't doing their job properly.
Well, exactly. So then, what are people supposed to do?
Well, you vote. You vote. When you do your voting, and you decide who you're going to vote for, try and vote for someone who's not a complete money-orientated fascist government, and get a government in that actually do something.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you very much indeed. Well, Catherine and I are going to possibly considering going round to this gentleman's house, Justin. There are rules and regulations.
There are.
There are rules and regulations.
I want to say thank you again to Mungo for 1970 in the summertime. Great hit. Many happy memories at various barbecues to that record.
Although, I think the message, have a drink, have a drive, needs revising.
Absolutely. No, I'd certainly go along with that one.
Yeah. Guys, can we just say, don't drink and drive.
Don't do it.
It really just goes everywhere.
I used to do that at discos at the end. I say, thanks for coming, guys. Here's the last song. Remember, don't drink and drive. People say, what are you talking about? I said, well, don't drink and drive. It's a great message.
I never got the... I haven't been to a disco for years.
Come to one of mine.
I never got the thing at the end when they would play a slow song, right?
Yep.
And it got all political. They would talk about the election section. I didn't understand that. Why were they talking about encouraging people to vote by listening to Lionel Richie? I didn't get it.
You need to ask Paul Scoynes, political boy.
OK, I'll ask him about the election section of a disco. Very, very strange. Justin Dealey. Tattoos being removed on the N-H...
S.
I was going to do that.
Yep. You just, bit of a gap there.
It was being dramatic.
Yeah.
The tattoos being removed on the N, on the H, on the S.
You must be joking.
I'm not joking. No. I'm serious. It's in the papers.
You must be joking.
I am not joking. Honestly, mind the ice.
That's music. Behave yourself.
Now, Dealey, you've taken this to the streets. You won't have found anybody who thinks this is a good idea.
I'll tell you what, boss. This is a classic Vox here. With some great stories in there. More than 2,000 people since 2010 have had them removed on the NHS, which has cost us, the taxpayer, £330,000.
Sweet Lord.
I've taken this to the streets to find out if people think it's right, and also to find out what sort of tattoos people have got. Take a listen.
Absolutely no way. If you get it done, that's fine. That's up to you, and you should take perspective. But when we're cutting children's services, old people's services, they're far more in need. And a tattoo nowadays, it doesn't represent an illness where old people needing help does.
Talk to me about your tattoos. What have you got?
I've got a love heart with true and love, true above the love heart and love written underneath it, and M in the love heart.
Who's M?
Mike, his name was.
And where's Mike now?
He lives in Bedford.
So you're not with Mike anymore?
No.
OK, so you've got a tattoo of Mike on your arm, but you're not with him. What about the other one?
The other one's a dagger. It's got my name in it, And it's got his name as well in it.
What do you think about tattoo removal on the NHS? Is that right?
No, because you've it's self-inflicted. You've done it to yourself. So if you want them removed, you pay for it yourself.
You what?
I'm all good.
You got 2 tattoos. Tell us what you got.
One on my chest, which is I love you, Mum, and then one on my back that says respect.
One on your back that says respect. Madam, you know somebody who's had a tattoo removed.
Yeah.
What was the tattoo? Can you remember?
I think it was a person's name.
So an ex-boyfriend?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's left there scarred, and it's not nice.
Should the NHS be paying for things like that? If somebody changes their mind or their relationship breaks down, they've got their ex-boyfriend's name on their arm?
Well, I don't think so, because personally, it's your choice. You should make the right decisions before you go along. You know how once it's done, it's done.
Nicole, how are you today?
I'm fine, you?
Yeah, you've got a tattoo. Is that on your foot? Okay. Tell us what that is.
It's a love heart with the infinity sign.
Any particular reason for that tattoo?
I've got it with my best friend.
So you hate tattoos. Why?
Because I think they're ugly, basically.
What do you think about the fact that the NHS are spending money on tattoo removals? For those people who think, you know what, I don't quite like this, I want this removed. The NHS are paying for that. What do you think about that?
I think it's quite good, to be honest with you.
Because you hate tattoos?
Yeah.
And you don't want to see anybody with any tattoos?
No.
Oh, good call going for that one, Catherine, because I preferred the pocket money, but that was brilliant. That was brilliant, Justin.
Just to clarify, on his back,
yeah.
Was it respect or expect?
He said
respect.
What's he expecting on his back?
Respect. But the classic there for that lady, unfortunately for her, and she admits they're terrible. 2 tattoos. Yeah. She was with Mike, and both those tattoos have got either M or Mike.
That was really true love, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
But if she's going to be practical about it, there's plenty of Mikes out there.
It's a very common name, you know, so she might find a replacement Mike.
Yeah, Mike, if we have got a Mike who's single and you're looking for love, I've got just the person for you.
Common women, then you are there. That was fair play, Justin. Yeah. That was classic. That may even make this week's podcast.
That'll be wonderful.
Just give me that £5.
You've been on fire today.
Yay, thank you very much indeed, my love. See you later.
Take care. Cheers.
Ta-ra. That was good. Yeah, let's slip that in the podcast. Unless he comes up with something better. I do feel that we've peaked a bit for a Monday. Normally, this is kind of feels like a Wednesday show before we get all jaded.
Let's throw Sicky tomorrow then.
Oh mate, don't tempt me like that.
You've got a bit of a sniffle.
I've got my glands are swollen. Glands, is that the right word?
Glands.
Oh yeah.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Milton Keynes on the A421 Standing Way, there's been an accident which is partially blocking the road between the Bleak Hall roundabout and the Coffee Hall roundabout, and it's causing delays from Exmoor Gate. In Tilsworth, the A5 southbound is still blocked by an accident between a car, van and a lorry between Dunstable Road and Thorne Road, so that's heading into Dunstable. There are very long delays. Maya and John called to say that it's really, really busy. In Lily on the A505 westbound, there's a lane blocked by a breakdown between Lily Bottom and Mount Grace Road, and in Radlett on the High Street, that's partially blocked between Park Road and the Drive because of a bus fire. Emergency services are there at the moment. On the M25 anti-clockwise, there are severe delays between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 14 for the Heathrow Terminal 4, and the M40 northbound's very slow between the Denham roundabout and the M25. There are delays on London Midland, Southern and Virgin trains because of a signal failure. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Samantha, thank you very much. Hey, thank you for all of your calls. Lots of great calls. Thank you, Pat, for kicking us with Houghton Regis. We will look into that more. Until tomorrow at 6 from all of us. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JBS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon Smith. It's Monday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's big phone-in, should the Franklins take their Christmas lights down? As we've been hearing this morning, a family in Dunstable have